Hello, everybody. Wow. Wee, wee, wee. Wee, 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 wee. Hello, everybody. Oh, boy. Welcome, everyone. We are starting. We got a debate at 8. There's a debate. It's a debate at 8. We're about to have that debate at 8, you know. All right. Let me see here. Close this. Let's see. Working Man says that's a way better headband. Do you think? I decided to rep, you know. We got a rep. You know what I mean? I'm so pro-trans, it's not even funny. True Patriot 774 is saying, ah, the abomination is speaking. Give us a quick rundown on this dude and his viewpoints. Yeah, I mean, I could pull him up. Give me a moment. If it'll show. What's his name? The Dragon, blah, blah, blah. The Dragon. Oh, what's his name? Dragon. Where the hell is he? Dragon Fist TV. There he is. Okay, let me pull it up real quick. So apparently I'm debating this guy, Dragon Fist TV, who has an eye-watering 219,000 subscribers. Wow. That is a lot of subscribers. What I've noticed, though, is that this guy doesn't really do debates. He just kind of does, like, commentary. You know, whereas, like, I will do actual debates. I will actually, you know, in fact, we got a little bit of time. If one person wants to call in, we got a little bit of time. Not a lot of time. A little bit of time. If you want to call in, I'm right here. But yeah, apparently it doesn't appear like this guy does a lot of debate. And what little I have seen of him debating, it's not really like super. I'm going to try to be good faith. I'll be good. I'll be nice. I'll let him talk. LOL host is an example of someone who is warning labels should be removed from and let nature take its course. Would you want me to die? You okay? Bro, I don't even know you, bro. I don't even know you. You're already aggro. Bro is aggro and nothing's even started yet. I haven't even done anything. Just wait, bro. Just you wait. Let me see. Where's this channel activity? Let's see here. Go to channel. Is this like an actual person? Are you an actual? They're just like talking about their cars? All right, let's take a look at one of these videos. Let's see. Cool. Sloppy just donated 10 memberships to Soyboy Elite. Wow. That's wild. Thank you very much. Holy crap. That's going to be a lot of notifications. That is a lot of notifications. Oh boy.
Did I just get a membership?
Oh boy.
Wow.
We're about to hear that about, I don't know, 10 times. Oh no. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much, Sloppy. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
Did
All
I
right,
just
so let's
get a
see.
membership? Wow.
That's really annoying. W Sloppy. But we're going to get,
get a membership? Wow.
you're going to hear that a lot. Nonsense. You are speaking on things that you don't even understand. Oh, I think I understand more than you think. I think I
I
understand
just get a
more than you
membership?
think I
Wow.
understand. Yeah. God, this thing sounds awful. Can I just But hey, to each their own, I guess. I mean, who
Did
knows?
I just get a membership?
That's
Wow.
crazy. You people are the only problem in the world. All right, if you want to call in and we can have a discussion, more than happy. All right, let's take a look. This Porsche 2010
Did I
Porsche
just get a membership?
Panamera
Wow.
Turbo with modest tune, 30 miles per gallon on highway, 835 on the okay. It is pretty. I'll grant you that.
Did I just get a
I
membership?
kind of like it.
Wow.
I like how pretty it is. I just don't understand why you got to come in and start dogging on me when it's like, you could be like not
Did I just get a
like
membership?
a
Wow.
nice person. True Patriot is saying, good, you found a car video, moron. Wow, look at you. Truly a patriot. Please let everybody know that when you talk to people like this, that you voted that you voted Trump. I just want to just let them know that you voted Trump. Okay, you're a much better advertisement than I am against Trump. So just do that. Let's see. Mark Cunningham, offended by caps, but ignore COVID-19. I definitely did not do that. Doge USA, just blame Donald Trump for what your elected officials have done. This is literally all Trump's fault. That's crazy. Bro, imagine getting mad at me and then pointing out all the stuff Trump did. Oh, no. Oh, man. Let's see here. Anthony Blinken says, wait until the caller finds out the Bible forbids mixing cloths. Yo, true. And thank you very much for the dono, Anthony Blinken. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, Anthony. We could pull up some Dragon Fist TV stuff, but all it is just him commenting on some stuff. I mean, let's see. Jake Rattlesnake destroys low IQ feminist. This was brutal. Andrew Wilson versus Dinesh. Oh my God. That's a horrible debate. Must Christians support Israel? Oh my God.
Wow, don't know.
I gotta vomit. That's what uneducated people say. You done getting horny over my car? Oh man, that's your car? Woo! Holy docs, Batman. Holy docs. I'm just saying, bro, don't go throwing stones, man. I'm just here enjoying my time. You just don't like my message. You don't like what I have to say, despite the fact that what I have to say is factual. I'm not wrong. Let me take a look here. I think I was looking at one debate with this guy where he had a live. He deletes most of his videos. Like most of his videos just get deleted. It would not surprise me if he deletes this video on his channel. But hey, I'll take it for where I see it. I'll take it. True Patriot. I am center right. How would you want Trump or any president to overthrow our form of government by having a third term? That's not being a patriot. Yo, true. True. And that's someone coming from the right that's schooling you. Sloppy Second says he's trying to join the crucible from what it seems. I don't understand. What I don't get is like this guy has 219,000 subscribers, 112 videos. And it's like, when you look at his stuff, it's like 5 waiting, 2,400 views. I mean, granted, this is definitely more than me. Like it's more than me. So, I can't say much. I kind of figured like somebody like this would have more views. Am I crazy? Like 219,000 subscribers. That is a lot of subscribers. So I pulled up his Social Blade. And it makes me start to believe that Dragon Fist TV's stuff is like, I'm actually starting to believe that his stuff is botted. Like, let's take a look here. Here's Dragon Fist TV's Social Blade, where you could see he's basically like his gained views weekly. Like he basically has, I mean, again, all things in due context, you know, it's more than me, but he also has like this one weird spike that just happens and then it just stays that way forever. You could see it's like this weird, I mean, hey, look, we got some people here, but man, what is all these subscribers? That is a crazy amount of subscribers in a very low period of time. I think he just probably made one video that just did really well. But what the hell was it? What was it? It's got 6.2 million views. None of his videos have that many views. So whatever the video was, it was deleted. He got rid of it. And it looks like he lost some views there. And I don't know exactly what. It's very strange. It's a strange YouTube channel. You know, I mean, if you pull up mine, it's like pretty organic, where it basically has absolutely nothing for like 9 years. And then only like the past year and a half stuff happening. I mean, with that being said, right, all things in due context, this is a very tiny, I run a very tiny channel comparatively speaking. So, but you could see right here, I basically had done nothing from, you know, March 24 and earlier. This account is very old. It's about 10 years old, but I didn't actually really post a whole lot. But it's only until recently I started posting and it's been growing. So I'm, let's see, Macaca Chaput says, yo, is that the trans headband you mentioned earlier today? Yo, true. This should be fun. Lamau, good luck, Amender. Appreciate it. Thank you. I hope I do well. I hope it goes well. It should be fun. We could, I don't know. Should we even like watch one of his video? I did for a little bit. And I was like, I'm not really getting a lot, I guess. Where was it? I pulled it up on his history. Let's see. Where's my history here? Where was it? It was, where is it? I think this was it. Yeah. And
I'm talking. Wait till I'm done.
Let's
I'm
let Craig
talking.
finish.
Wait till I'm done.
Dragon Fist a chance to respond now.
Good God.
Okay, so for all of history, this has never worked, but your new system, now you figured it out. Now
Can you give me the data that shows it's never worked throughout all of history? That's a big claim.
I do want to.
Now the secular society is going to have more babies because of some incentive structure, but we still see
okay, sorry. You made a very big claim there. A very big claim that it's never ever worked for secular societies. Could I see the data?
That's my whole point.
Show me. Wait, hold on. Words.
It's never worked for society. Like, what has never worked for society? This only has 1,700 views. I don't understand. He has 219,000 subscribers. Like, where the hell are all his views? This is like one of my videos, you know, that does reasonably well would get 1,700 views. And that's because I have a small subscriber count. I have very little people that have, anyway, I just find I think that's kind of weird. Sloppy Second says it's going to be a shouting match. I'm going to try to avoid that. I'm going to do what I can to avoid that. Let's see. Bobro says, you going to debate with Craig or just against the other guy? No, I'm not debating Craig. No, me and Craig get along. I'm debating Dragon Fist martial arts or Dragon Fist TV.
Words were coming out of my mouth. I'm still doing the words thing. I'm still doing the words.
What is even happening? What is James Coons doing in this moment? He's just sitting there, mouth agape. Like, why is he not controlling this? Please.
Okay,
Thank you.
All right, hold on 1 sec. Is that
You're like a
just
child.
take a deep breath.
I'm a child.
So
Yes.
I think that Dragon Fist. What was the point that you were trying to make?
I'm just going to say, no, you're entirely wrong. America's not based on Christian ethics, according to, the Constitution.
Okay. You're a human rights guy, right? Where do those come from in the preamble? I think it's...
Let's see. Rainbow Ash says, you could tell when a channel has bots when it shows like several hundred viewers, but only a few commenters. That is true. The other thing, like, what I find strange, I don't know, like, I think what likely happened is this guy got like a crap ton of views on one video. I don't know what the video is. I can't say what the video is exactly because he removed it. It's not there. He should have a video that has like, 5-6 million views. And when you look at it, in organized by most popular, his most popular is this one at 613,000 views, posted a year ago. What we're looking for is a video that's about 9 months old that would be somewhere in the realm of 5 million views. And I'm just, it's not here. He doesn't have it. So whatever it was, it's gone now. We don't know what it was. We don't know what he got popular over. So I don't know. We'll see.
It says it in there. Where it comes from, those inalienable rights.
Could you put what does it say?
Is that really his position? Where does that come from? Inalienable rights? Really? Come on, man.
I think it says endowed by their creator with these.
No.
It does.
It does say endowed by the creator, inalienable rights. I mean, I would argue to say that we use human reason to determine inalienable rights, but they actually had a giant debate about this. The founding fathers themselves, they had a giant debate about this where they were saying that they wanted a secular government that was divested from traditional religions. And what they wanted was a secular government that didn't respect the establishment of a religion. And so they wanted to, some of the more conservative ones wanted to put in God and say God is, that the inalienable rights are endowed to us by God. But because they wanted as well a secular society with the strong separation of church and state, they said, okay, it could be any creator. And so they said endowed by our creator instead of God. It was a long debate that occurred.
Doesn't say that?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't mention creators or gods
created.
or anything.
It doesn't say endowed by their creator. It does say that.
Let's see. Slappy Second says shorts get you subscribers, but maybe no live viewers. Can I just say, I've been operating the shorts game. People do not subscribe on shorts. I mean, maybe a small amount. There's a small amount of people when they look at a short, they're like, I like this short, subscribe. Most people are just in doom scroll swipe mode. They're just like, ooh, short, swipe, 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 and most people don't. I mean, think about it yourself. Do you subscribe? Looks like we got Mike who's calling me. He's called in the past, so we're going to find out. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Long time no talk.
Long time no talk. How you been?
How you doing? I remember you.
I know. That's awesome. I feel honored in a way.
Can you do me a favor though? Make sure when you're talking to me, not have me on speakerphone, no headphones or anything, just the phone as is. It helps with the clipping.
The phone is actually not on speaker. I don't think. I tried to take it off speaker. Does it sound like I'm on speaker?
Yeah, there's like a crackling sound that everybody can hear. You can't hear it, but it is there. And if you just talk to me like as if it's just a regular phone, then it should be fine.
Do you hear it now?
Try talking.
I'm testing.
Seems to be good. Anyway, so what did you want to talk about?
I called in to debate that the Bible promotes slavery.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got about 18 minutes that we're going to be going on the Speakeasy podcast to debate this very issue. But you don't believe that the Bible promotes slavery.
I do not believe that the Bible promotes slavery.
Okay. Have you read your Bible?
I have, and my contention is even in Ecclesiastes, it says, do not be surprised when you find an oppressor, because there's an oppressor above that oppressor, basically. So there's always somebody oppressing somebody else. So that was Old Testament. So my contingency with that is that there were slaves that existed throughout all all of mankind. I mean, not basically, since we can trace it back to human history, there's been slavery.
Mm-hmm.
So to contribute it to the Bible is kind of taking too much credit to the Bible, is all I'm saying.
Well, I'm not saying that the Bible invented slavery. That's not my position.
Well, in what way does it promote it?
Oh, there's lots and lots of verses that promote it. I'd love to get into it and give you the exact verses, but I don't know if my opponent is listening to me right now, and so I have to kind of keep it on the down low. But I'll tell you what, let me just show you this.
Okay, well, I
bit of
didn't realize. I
research.
get it. I'm going to listen into it. I didn't realize what was going on. I thought it was a live
you're
call-in
good.
show again.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you'll see. We're gonna. I mean, I don't mind talking to you right now, so that's fine. But I actually have this section here. There is a book that was written by William Drayton, who lived between 1776 to 1846. This publication date is 1836. And this was a person that, in fact, did use the Bible to promote slavery. You could see right here under chapter 9 stating slavery considered in continuation, sanctioned by the Old and New Testaments, and according with the precepts of the spirit of Christianity. And they go off to talk about how that there are religious abolitionists, and they say that it is effectively inconsistent. And then he goes on to talk about various verses and positions in the Bible that does in fact condone slavery. He does so in this entire book. This entire book is about 311 pages long.
What was the name of this book?
This is The South Vindicated from Treason and Fanaticism of the Northern Abolitionists by William Drayton.
During the Civil War era?
Yeah, this was published in 1836.
Okay. All right. Well, but my contention with that would be that that's a person, which is a strong contention, but that person is using the Bible he's still using the Bible, which I do not argue with. I mean, you have the Crusades, and you have all these people that have definitely taken the Bible out of context and then used that to promote god awful things, I mean, even
I
if
think
you look at
use the Bible perfectly in context, actually.
that would be the theory. That would be what I would be debating. I don't think so. I don't think Jesus promoted that. I think
Let's take
maybe
a look here.
What
What does he say here? He says, immediately after the deluge, Noah, as inspired prophet, pronounced the following curse upon the posterity of Ham, to whom the African race is supposed to have sprung. Cursed be Canaan, and servants shall be he to his brethren. And he said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. This is Genesis 9, 25, 26, 27.
Right. Well, I mean, that was, you're talking about 2000 BC at that point.
Well, I agree. I'm saying that this guy in 1836 was using the Bible to promote slavery.
Right. In the same way that I would argue that Benjamin Netanyahu is promoting the same thing. And it's like the only rational argument for the war on Israel is that is quotes from the Old Testament where the Canaanites which I get is a little weird, because I'm not saying throw out the Old Testament. I'm just saying, like, when Jesus came, he had the Holy Spirit with him, so you can't in many ways he got crucified because he was going against the Old Testament. The main reason he got crucified was because he was saying you can work on Sundays. And then all the Jews, which he was a Jew, so it's not like an anti-Semitic thing. It was like they crucified him on that day. Because, I mean, that was specifically why he did a number of other things, but he got crucified because he was preaching that you can't work on the Sabbath, which was basically a that's completely against Jewish tradition.
Yeah.
So there is something different about there's something different about Jesus than there was with the rest of the Old Testament. But it's not separated. Yeah. So I get it. But I think when you talk about the Bible, you have to, I think in the New Testament, there has to be some sort of thing that is condoning slavery for it to be, because a lot of the old, we're taking it as allegories, basically. I mean, that's basically what a lot of Christians do. They just take the Old Testament as like fun little stories that are, most Christians don't take the Old Testament literally. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you'll see right here, it says, at the period of the advent of Christ, slavery prevailed throughout the world. In that portion of Asia in which Christianity was first preached, it existed in its severest form and to a very great extent. Had it been regarded as an evil, it could not have escaped the animadversion, not only of Christ, but as those holy men who became at his departure by the preachers of his faith.
What path? I understand you're about to talk to somebody else in like 18
Yeah, no,
minutes, but what?
You're good. I'm just using like a portion of this book that I found, because what a lot of people like to do is that they like to rewrite history and make it say something that it never did. A lot of people, they see the scars of slavery that occurred, and they want to separate their religion from slavery as much as they possibly can.
Well, that makes complete sense to me. All that, but I guess my objection would be that it doesn't. I would say it doesn't. It doesn't demolish. Like, it's not opposed to slavery, but it's not. I don't know that it promotes it.
Well, it says here, it does go further. Instead of this, however, we find that the institution sanctioned slaveholders admitted into the bosom of the church and slaves admonished to humility and obedience. The apostles, saying citizens of Georgia, the author of a valuable pamphlet on this subject entitled Remarks Upon Slavery, did not go forth and organize abolition societies or attempt to disturb the civil relations of men under the pretense of the order of things which under God had been established must be overturned. So what he's telling you here is that if you observe the New Testament, God condones slavery, and therefore you should be in favor of slavery because God has endorsed it from Old and New Testament.
Well, what about all the preaching of? What about all of Jesus? Like, when you read the New Testament, it's in favor of the poor. He came to save the poor. He came to not save the whatever the quote is. I mean, I hadn't memorized the thing, but like he came to save the poor, the needy, the lepers. All the stories are about all the. Basically, every story in the New Testament is basically about the poor or the needy, and he's come to save them.
I agree with that.
And so that's not like a promotion of like at anything. He's more of like a Johnny Cash type guy who feels for the downtrodden. So he didn't come in.
Sadly, and I'd like to go over the exact verses in the New Testament that is explicitly in favor of slavery. I cannot, however, because we have our debate that's coming up.
Right. I got you. It's a bad time to call.
No, you're good, Mike. I appreciate your call.
Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Wah. By the way, this book is a freaking nightmare. Just FYI, for those who want to read it. Man, the clicking is getting on my nerves by Macaca Chaput. Am I clicking too much? I'm sorry. The prompt is bad for the negative because the Bible definitely promotes it, but it isn't how Christians understand those passages are for. Let me take a look here. Yeah, so this is called The South Vindicated from Treason of the Fanaticism. Let me just make sure that I'm not pasting some random crap. Oh, wow. Wow. Hold on. We have an actual... Oh, this is crazy. Yeah, if you guys want the... Let's see. No, the caller, the clicking that his audio would do. Yeah, dude, I tried to get him to not... I think he was still on speaker. I gotta make this phone number disappear because I gotta get on. Let's take a look here. Phone is gone. Main. Phone is gone. Okay. Superchat is gone. Okay, we're good. Let me take a look here. Give me one quick second. Well, actually, I think I have to join in. I'm going to join in and then I'm going to just see if I can use the bathroom. Just eke in using the bathroom. Let me get on StreamYard though. Entering the studio to keep the studio secure. Let me do this. If they had power, more Christians would admit that they're cool with slavery. Yo. All right. Enter, continue as First Amender. I got to turn on the virtual camera. Allow while visiting the site. Looks good. First Amender on YouTube. Enter studio. Okay, it looks like I'm in. Says I'm backstage. Says I'm backstage. Let's see here. I thought Speakeasy was going to be here. It says, I think he is here. Should I message him? All right, I let him know that I'm in the lobby and I'm going to use the bathroom, but BRB. But we're basically all set up. Just give me a quick second.
How you doing?
Yo.
All right. I seen Amanda there a minute ago. He'll be right back, I'm sure.
No worries. What's going on, brother?
Oh, not too much. Not too much. Just finished getting some work done. I've been working on a video. I'm trying to put together like a little like slideshow type thing of the debate con trip.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got a lot of pictures, and then I started collecting a bunch that people were dropping in the Discord as well. So that's looking good. And then I'm trying to update my verbal combat intro and the intro I have for this show as well.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. It's a lot when you try to edit videos and go live and fucking keep all your shit updated.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
oh yeah,
it's wild.
yeah. Editing videos, like I'm always like, okay, I should only be like an hour on this, and I end up like I'm 4 hours in, and it's not done yet. I'm like, how the hell is this taking so long?
I know. I'm fucking tired of editing videos, man.
Oh shit. But
All right.
pays off in the end, right? Hey, there he is.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
How you doing today?
Good. Doing great.
Yeah. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. All right. Let me make sure I got those notes ready. All right. And then just a quick reminder, make sure you're both good with it. Each get 10 minutes for your opening, 5 minutes for uninterrupted rebuttals, and then full hour of back and forth, and then a 5-minute for closing statements, and then we do a 30-minute Q&A. Both good with that?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then sometimes too, if like the argument seems to be going good and you guys want more time, I'm more than open to give you guys more time for the open floor if you guys want as well.
Is the camera going to be getting moved, or are we in a good spot? Because I'm messing with stuff on OBS and I kind of just want to leave it as is and we're done.
Yep. You're going to be there.
Appreciate it.
You're good.
Same. Well, not necessarily. I'm actually grabbing both you and Andrew. I already grabbed myself.
Okay. Yep. Yep. We're going to be all in the same spots here.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. No problem.
Is he's going first, or what's the?
Yeah, so the way I usually do it, affirmative goes first for openings, and then when we go to closings, the affirmative will go first again to give the negative the last word. So then one gets the first word, one gets the last word.
Perfect.
And then got that. Okay. Perfect. And then yeah, my intro, it'll play my little disclaimer, my intro that runs a little over 3 minutes. And then I'll introduce the show. I'll introduce you guys in the prompt, and then we'll get right into opening.
Perfect.
You both ready to go?
Ready.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you both for coming, and good luck to you both. And let's get it rocking.
Let's get it.
Warning. The information shared in these conversations
Yo,
and videos are intended for general knowledge and entertainment purposes only.
Muting that. We're muting that. We're just going to mute that. It looks like we're about to get started. Yeah, Rainbow knows. Rainbow knows. Mute the intro. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. It is the cringiest thing ever to I guess like have any what would I say? It is so cringe to be glorifying the Crusades in any way. I'm sorry. Working Man says, "What's wrong with the intro? LOL. It glorifies the Crusades." Do I have to tell you that the Crusades was like a part where we literally genocided a bunch of Muslims? Like, I'm sorry, this is not This is not. It's not a good time in history to be glorifying, bro. It's pretty cringy, actually. Yeah. So you could see he's doing that, that Crusades thing, and yeah, and the music is not good either. I am putting on different music. Watch, I'll play it for just a second. Watch.
No chain, no treason. We clash our swords a reason. We clash our.
All right. Anyway, we're just not gonna have that. I don't, dude. If these guys ever get big, the fact that like Speakeasy Podcast is as big as they are, like I am 100% certain that I will get big. Heretic says, it's not that, dude. It's just AI slop. What are you? Are you 60? What? It's just AI slop. Oh no. All right. Well, it's about to get started in just a second, I think. Let me turn off my music and just hopefully I'll mute it at just the right time. Make sure I log my times, get it all correct. It went on for a few hundred years. Oh yeah, there's multiple crusades that happened. And it usually resulted in murdering people, including Christians for that matter. So it's just not, it's not justifiable. It's not. I promise you, it's not. Trust me, be on the good side of history here. It's not justifiable. All right, here we go. I think we're ready.
Welcome, everybody, to Swords of Reason right here on the Speakeasy Show, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. This is where logic meets passion. If you're new here, the format is simple. Each debater gets 10 minutes for the opening statement, followed by 5 minutes of uninterrupted rebuttals. After that, we're going to enter the arena for a full hour of back and forth debate. This is where the arguments clash and the iron can sharpen the iron. And then finally, each side delivers a 5-minute closing statement to lock in their case. Excuse me, sorry. When that's done, we move into a 30-minute Q&A. I'll drop a Q&A in the chat there for you guys, but keep in mind the Superchats, PayPals, and Cash App questions will get priority. And if they fill up the entire 30 minutes, we may not get to the free chat questions. So if there's something you want guaranteed to be asked, make sure you send it through one of those priority options. And then once the formal debate wraps up, we open the doors for a chaos and chill panel. That's where the community can hop in and challenge the debaters if the debaters choose to stick around. That part is optional for them, but it's always where things get fun regardless. Today's debate prompt is the Bible promotes slavery. And taking the affirmative tonight is First Amender, known for his hot news discussions, political debates, and the First Amender show, the call-in show right here on YouTube. He's built a name by diving into the day's biggest headlines and today taking on challengers live and never shying away from the smoke. You can find his channel linked in the description below. And taking on the negative tonight is Andrew, better known as Dragon Fist TV. Andrew originally built his name on YouTube through fight reviews and combat commentary, gaining quite the following by breaking down what happens inside the ring. But eventually he decided to take that same competitive spirit into a different kind of arena. Dragon Fist has expanded his channel into politics, culture, and debate, stepping into political discussions with a mission to challenge the left, defend his positions, and test ideas through direct debate. So he went from analyzing fights to fighting with arguments, and tonight he's here to put those arguments to the test with his Swords of Reason debut. So welcome in, Andrew. With that being said, we're going to move right into the opening statement. So, First Amender, whenever you're ready for your opening statement, I will start the timer up with your voice.
Okay, I have a PowerPoint to share, so just give me a moment to get that going.
Yeah, no problem.
Just gonna move some stuff around real quick.
While he does that, speak. I'm having trouble getting this to go live. You don't have a connect thing at the top here, because when I try to go live on StreamYard, it's saying it's too busy. Traffic is unexpectedly high.
And it won't let you go live from my StreamYard either?
No, I don't even see the thing there where it says like connect.
Let me see here.
Are you allowing people?
Oh, wait. Let me click on this. Do you see it now?
Hold on. Yeah, just let me tell the people that it's going to be a new thumbnail.
Let me know when I can share my screen. Can I do so now while you guys do that?
Yeah, you could still share it, and we'll bring it up when he's ready. Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I've never
Yeah,
seen
no
that
worries.
before.
Yeah, I've never seen that before either. That's weird.
Yeah, me neither.
I guess a
I'm
lot
just
of people are
connecting it.
using I guess a lot of people are using StreamYard now.
Dude, I've never gotten that before.
Can you guys see the
Yeah, I see it there in the back. I'll bring it up in just a second here.
Appreciate it.
Bear with me 1 second.
Yep, no problem. We do it live, chat.
Do it live.
Yep. I think it's
We'll do
working
it
now.
live.
Got yourself going?
I believe so.
Oh, yeah, I see you popped up in the corner there. Perfect, perfect. All right, so let me bring this up and move the overlay for you. Make that big for you. And then, yeah, whenever you're ready, I'll start the timer up with your voice.
Okay, and so this is the Bible promotes slavery, and I am taking the affirmative position by me, First Amender. The claim promotes slavery. The term promotes slavery is vague, and I seek to get a strong definition of what it means to promote. Slavery is to own a person as property, often resulting in forcing them to work under control of threat of violence and denying them basic personal freedom and rights. Promote is to contribute to the growth or prosperity of, based on Merriam-Webster. For me to prove my claim, I would have to show that the Bible explicitly condones or contributes to the growth and prosperity of slavery, of which I can show in spades, and I will show to you now. Leviticus 25:44-46. Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you and members of their clan born in your country, and they will become your property. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property and can make them slaves for life. But you must not rule over your fellow Israelites ruthlessly. The context being that this is the section where God is speaking to the laws of the Israelites to Moses. These words are from God, where it states, "The Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, ... with repeated verses of God's saying, tell the Israelites this, ... They are divine instructions given through Moses to Israel. Exodus 21:20-21, stating, anyone who beats their male or female slave with a rod must be punished if the slave dies as a direct result, but they are not to be punished if the slave recovers after a day or two, since the slave is their property. The context is, again, a section where God is literally speaking with Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, the Lord said to Moses, thus shall say to the Israelites, and again in Exodus 21:1, stating that these are the ordinances that you shall set before them, speaking clearly of further commandments to be given to the Israelites to follow. Deuteronomy 20:10-14, stating, when you march up to attack a city, make its people offer of peace. If they accept and open their gates, all of the people in it shall be subject to forced labor, and they shall work for you. If they refuse to make peace and they engage you in battle, lay siege to that city. When the Lord your God delivers it to your hand, put the sword, all the men in it. As for the women, the children, the livestock, and everything else in the city, you may take these as plunder for yourselves, and you may use the plunder the Lord your God gives you from your enemies. The context being that this section is referring to a large collection of laws presented as Moses' instructions from God to the Israelites before entering Canaan. But these are all Old Testament. The New Testament argues to free slaves, not enslave them. Okay. Ephesians 6:5, New International Version, stating, slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect and fear and with sincerity of heart, just as you would obey in Christ. The context being Paul is addressing the conduct expected of members of a quote-unquote Christian household concerning relationships. Colossians 3:22, stating, slaves, obey your earthly masters in everything, and do it not with their eye is on you, and to curry their favor, but with sincerity of heart and reverence for the Lord. Context, Paul and Colossians with the very similar statements repeated regarding household rules. 1 of Peter 2:18, stating, slaves, in reverent fear of God, submit yourselves to your masters, not only to those who are good and considerate, but also those who are harsh. Context being instructions on how Christians should conduct themselves within existing social relationships, and specifically addresses household slaves and servants. Additionally, people historically have argued in favor of slavery using the passages I've shown, and I use this book right here, The South Vindicated from the Treason and Fanaticism of the Northern Abolitionists, which was written by William Drayton, a South Carolina planter and slaveholder, and was a prominent defender of slavery. His work explicitly argued from Christianity and Scripture. You can actually go to archive.org to pull this and see page 85, where the entire chapter is literally arguing slavery on the basis of the New and Old Testament by a slaver themselves. Despite this, people still say that the Bible does not promote slavery. People often argue that the Bible was used to abolish slavery. Even if I grant this premise, the Bible was used to justify all sorts of things, it does not revoke the over 1,000 years of history that did emphasize ruling condoning slavery. People will also bring up that Moses has freed the slaves, and therefore the book that emphasizes against slavery, yet this once again does not address that the Bible has also endorsed slavery under different contexts of which already has been provided. In conclusion, the Bible promotes slavery. You can follow me on YouTube, where I have open progressive debates, a call-in show, The First Amender Show, youtube.com/@FirstAmender. Thank you very much.
Me?
Muted, sorry. Yes, I'm gonna move the mic over to you. Thank you for that opening statement, First Amender. And yes, Andrew, whenever you are ready, let me get your clock started over for you. I will start the clock up with your voice.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Obviously, thank you, Speakeasy. Thank you to my opponent. We're here to debate a crucial question. Does the Bible promote slavery? To answer this honestly, we must first establish what the word promote actually means. To promote something is to actively endorse it, encourage it, advocate for its proliferation, or to hold it up as an ideal or virtue. There's a vast categorical difference between promotion and regulation. When a modern government passes regulations on dangerous driving, hazardous waste, or high-risk financial markets, no sane observer accuses that government of promoting hazardous waste or traffic accidents. Regulation is what a lawgiver does when entering an existing broken reality in order to restrict it, mitigate its harms, and set boundary lines around human cruelty. Slavery was not invented by the Bible. It was a universal reality of the ancient world, long before Moses or Abraham. The Bible did not institute slavery. It stepped into an ancient, primitive world where slavery was the unquestioned norm, and it instituted laws that radically constrained, humanized, and ultimately undermined the practice. When we examine the Old Testament, as my opponent brought up, we see a deeply pragmatic approach to an ancient economy. In the ancient Near East, there was no bankruptcy courts, no government safety nets, no unemployment benefits. If a family suffered crop failure or financial ruin, their options were starvation or bondage. Sorry, I was looking at the chat. Old Testament servitude was primarily a form of voluntary, temporary economic debt relief, more akin to modern bankruptcy or indentured servitude. Crucially, it was never based on race. It was never generational. Debts could not be permanently passed down to descendants, and it was strictly time limited, requiring the release of Hebrew servants every seventh year on the sabbatical year, and the restoration of property and freedom every 50 years during the year of Jubilee. Furthermore, the Bible explicitly bans the very foundation of historical chattel slavery, kidnapping and forced human trafficking. If we look at Exodus 21:16, which states unequivocally, whoever steals a man and sells him, and anyone found in possession of him shall surely be put to death. Let that sink in. Under biblical law, kidnapping a human being to force them into slavery was a capital offense punishable by death. The entire system of the transatlantic slave trade, which relied entirely on man stealing, racial supremacy, and lifelong generational bondage, was explicitly forbidden and condemned by the Old Testament law. When we get to the New Testament, we see the internal logic of the gospel completely dismantle the spiritual and moral framework of slavery. In Luke 4:18, Jesus steps into the synagogue in Nazareth, opens the scroll of Isaiah, and announces his core mission. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim the good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives, recovering the sight to the blind, and at liberty to those who are oppressed. Jesus did not come, he says it twice, Jesus did not come to build earthly empires through military revolution. He came to transform human hearts, declaring a kingdom where every human being carries the sacred image of God, every human being. So this radical ethic is demonstrated in the Apostle Paul's letter to Philemon regarding a runaway slave, I know I'm going to butcher this, named Onesimus. Paul writes to Philemon in Philemon 1:15 and 16, commanding him to receive Onesimus back, no longer as a slave. This is a quote, no longer as a slave, but better than a slave, as a beloved brother, especially to me, but how much more to you, both in the flesh of the Lord. Under Roman law, a master had the legal right to execute a runaway slave. But Paul tells Philemon that under the new covenant, slavery is obsolete because fellow believers are equal brothers and sisters in Christ. Paul tells Philemon that if Onesimus owes anything, to charge it to Paul's personal account. By commanding a master to treat his former slave as an equal, beloved brother, the new covenant laid the moral dynamite that eventually blew up the institution of slavery. So, and even in history, in the Bible, if the Bible truly promoted slavery, we would expect history to show the most devout readers of the Bible the fiercest defenders of slavery. But history reveals the exact opposite. The modern abolitionist movement was explicitly birthed, fueled, and led by Christians who cited the Bible as their primary motivation. Consider William Wilberforce, the British statesman who was the first person in history to successfully lead a political movement to abolish the slave trade in the Western world. Wilberforce was an evangelical Christian who explicitly stated that his faith in Christ and his reading of scripture were the sole reasons he spent 40 years fighting to end the slave trade. Consider Frederick Douglass, the legendary American abolitionist and advisor to Abraham Lincoln and former slave himself. Douglass drew a sharp, unequivocal line between the hypocrisy of slaveholders and the true message of scripture. Douglass recognized that slaveholders were perverting the Bible, and this addresses what First Amender said in his opening, that they were perverting the Bible, while the true Christianity of Christ was inherently anti-slavery. Let's look at other historic leaders who abolished slavery in America. John Quincy Adams, who fought the gag rule in Congress to defend the captives of the Amistad, called slavery a sin before the sight of God. That's a quote, and rooted his fight in biblical justice. Thaddeus Stevens, the radical Republican leader who drove the passage of the 13th Amendment, abolishing slavery in America, stated, I can never acknowledge, this is another quote, I can never acknowledge the right of slavery. It is incompatible with the equality of man before his creator. So in conclusion, to summarize, promote means to endorse or idealize. The Bible never presents slavery as an ideal, a virtue, or a creation order. It regulates an ancient practice to protect human dignity. The Old Testament condemned chattel slavery by placing the death penalty on man stealing. This is Exodus 21:16, and restricting debt servitude. The New Testament dissolved the moral basis of slavery by declaring all humans equal in Christ and commanding masters to treat slaves as free brothers. That's Philemon. The historic champions who brought down slavery, from Wilberforce to Lincoln's allies, did so precisely because they believed slavery was a grotesque violation of the gospel. And most importantly, there is not a single verse in Holy Scripture that promotes or commands slavery. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that actually comes in. This debate has been going on for a long time. A lot of people have done it. You know, I'll get into who I'm citing in a little bit also, but I'm looking forward to hearing what I'm looking forward to this discussion.
All right. Thank you for that opening statement. And with that, we are going to get into the rebuttal round. So that's 5 minutes each uninterrupted to directly respond to their opponent's opening arguments. So it's not a back and forth yet, no interjections. Sometimes some people will use these 5 minutes to do a little bit of cross-exam. That's more than welcome too. Or if you want to skip it, that's more than welcome too. So we're going to hand the mic back to First Amender. Whenever you're ready for your 5-minute rebuttal, let me get your timer up here, and I'll start it up with your voice.
So Andrew had stated that slavery was not invented by the Bible. This is not the claim. The claim is that whether the Bible promotes slavery, considering that the Bible stated that you could go to foreigners and take them as slaves, you literally would be promoting slavery. He also states incorrectly that the Bible bans specifically chattel slavery. No, it does not. Chattel slavery specifically is a system where people are traded as personal property or chattel. Owners can buy, sell, trade, and inherit human beings. Chattel simply means any movable personal property a person owns, and which is included in the Bible, specifically stating people as property. I could even acknowledge biblical slavery, where it's like a loan of that an Israelite owes, but despite that fact, chattel slavery still exists. Every human being takes the image of God. I can see the arguments of abolitionists did indeed use the Bible to justify the abolition of slavery, but just as the Bible contains many contradictory viewpoints on slavery is no different. The verses I stated specifically do condone slavery, and even if you could read in removing of slavery by using the Bible, does not revoke that it does in fact promote slavery in other verses. You stated that Jesus was inherently anti-slavery. There's actually, in fact, no verse that argues where Jesus explicitly to abandon the practice of slavery. In fact, Jesus is conveniently absent stating the abolition of slavery. And after his death and the creation of Christianity seemed to exist roughly 1,000 years after his death, and only till the 1860s did your view become in vogue. Even if I do grant your premise, it does not revoke the fact that the Bible does indeed promote slavery. And with that, I cede the rest of my time.
Okay. Is it my 5?
Yep. Just going to say thank you for that rebuttal. And then whenever you're ready for your rebuttal, you can go right into it, and I'll start the time up with your voice.
Yeah, sure. I mean, in the ancient Near East, the word that he's translating as property, which is, I don't know how to say it in its original language, akazua, referred to land holding or legal tenure of service, not reducing the human image, the human to like an object. It's not the way we think of it today. And Israel was surrounded by hostile pagan nations where chattel slavery, child sacrifice, and extreme brutal violence were the standard. Right. So that's why I was saying that the Bible didn't invent it. This was the standard around them. So allowing foreign captives to enter Israel's covenant community actually offered them legal protection. This is what First Amendment doesn't understand. They got Sabbath rest. They got asylum from their home nations that didn't exist anywhere else in the ancient Near East. So what he said, actually, there's a big difference between regulation and promotion. So First Amendment is going to have to show where the actual promotion of slavery is, not just the regulation of it. I'm ready to get into the cross-exam if you guys are.
All right. Thank you for that rebuttal. And with that, we're going to move into the open floor. Before we get into the open floor, let me just talk to the audience real quick. If you're watching right now, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and subscribe to tonight's debaters, okay? Their links are in the description. And we host all kinds of debates here on Swords of Reason, politics, culture, ethics, internet topics, anything where reasoning and passion can collide. So if you enjoy the format, make sure you stay locked in because we have a lot more coming. And also a reminder for the live chat, after the closing statements, we're going to be doing a 30-minute Q&A. The Q&A is there in the chat for you guys, but remember the super chats, the PayPals, and the Cash App questions, they will get priority. So if they fill up the whole 30 minutes, we may not get to those ones. So if you have something you really want answered, send it through one of those priority options, and we'll make sure it gets asked. And finally, thank you to both our debaters for being here tonight and bringing your perspectives into the arena. Whenever one of you is ready to start up the open floor, go ahead and start. My job here, mostly, I'm going to be out of the way unless things get too crazy, audience can't hear you, someone's, we're refusing back and forth. So if we have to go into time responses, we will, but we'll hope to stay away from that. But other than that, go ahead. Floor is all yours, boys.
Do you want to go first, or
what would it take to convince you that the Bible promotes slavery? Like, what does the evidence look like?
it looks like an actual normative claim that this is what you ought to do, which is, and then you also have to recognize that there's a new covenant. So like Christians don't follow Shabbat, right? We don't have to do that. Why? Because we don't follow the rules of the old covenant. So you're going to have to show me actually in the New Testament, and you have to refute Paul's letter to Philemon, where he tells them that we're all brothers in Christ and to free their slaves and that he'd pay for it. So unless you can refute this, I mean, I don't really see how you could say there's a promotion there. Maybe regulation, I'll grant you, but again, that's not the prompt.
So I guess like the question is that the debate prompt is that the Bible promotes slavery. So if I can find anywhere in the Bible that makes a normative claim of what you ought do and have to recognize and also recognize that the new covenant endorses that, then you would concede.
If you could show me a normative claim that you ought start a slave trade and that you ought, and that there's continuity to that in the New Testament, but there isn't, but you could try.
Okay. Let's see here.
I'll wait.
I have it right here. Share my screen. My apologies. Can you see my screen?
No, sir.
Okay, so it says specifically here that your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you, from them that you may buy slaves. So yes, that would be a normative claim stating that you can effectively go to foreign nations and buy them as slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you, another normative claim, and members of their clans born in your country, and they will become your property. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property and make them slaves for life, but you must not rule over your fellow Israelites ruthlessly. So maybe we could say that it does promote slavery, but that it does so in a friendly way.
Actually, this is much nicer than what you would have found anywhere else in the region, because most of the time what they did with captives is they killed them. So to say that they're going to take them on and give them all these things, if you look up the rules for the women, they couldn't be sold. They had to be treated fairly. These people didn't have to work on the Sabbath. They were granted all types of rights strictly because of the Bible. The rest of the world didn't do any of that. They were brutal to captives. So again, you're talking about regulations, not promotion. You're actually committing what's called the Hume's Isor fallacy. You're pointing to ancient civil codes that describe and regulate existing social practices. They already existed, and leaping to the conclusion that the text prescribes or promotes it as a moral imperative, moving from an is, a descriptive regulation, to an ought, normative endorsement, without explicit text. That's a fundamental flaw in your logic.
Okay, so you went from that there's a fundamental flaw in the logic to that this is much nicer because normally they killed him. By stating that this is much nicer because they normally killed him, that means that they did, in fact, in the Bible, promote slavery.
Well, they're telling you
because
what
you're
to
saying it's
do.
much nicer. It doesn't matter if it's nicer or meaner.
So what do you do with captives in the ancient world? They're not promoting slavery. Nowhere in the Bible does it say you ought do this thing. What it's saying is that in this situation, this is how you should respond to it. That's not the same thing. Again, that's a descriptive claim putting regulations. Here, I'll give you an example. Let me, if I get wrongfully imprisoned and I say, and I give you a description for what to do in that situation. If I say, don't fight your guards, right? Am I promoting wrongful imprisonment, or am I just describing what to do in that really bad situation?
Was that a question directed at me? Because you didn't address mine.
It's hypothetical. Yeah.
You didn't address mine at all.
What is your question?
Yeah. So because you said earlier, I wanted to unpack it. You said this is much nicer because they would normally have killed them. If it was much nicer, what is this?
Yeah,
in that context of that
regulations
sentence
that they're giving on this, on taking them captive. That's what I'm talking about.
Would it be fair to say when you say this is much nicer because normally they killed them, when you refer to this, you're referring to slavery. Slavery is much nicer because normally they killed
slavery doesn't exist in the Bible. I said, so if it comes down to being a slave, an ancient slave, which again is nothing like the slavery that you consider today, nothing like it. It wasn't race-based. You say it was passed down generationally. It wasn't. Also another false claim. And these slaves were freed. It was only for a certain
if
amount
you're
of
an
time.
Israelite.
Yeah, Israelite.
But if you're not an Israelite, they can own you indefinitely. And it was race-based because I literally read to you the section where you can buy foreigners slaves and you can keep them for as long as you like. Now, again, I'm still stuck because I know for a fact that the Bible promotes slavery. I asked you, what would it take you to convince you that the Bible promotes slavery? You said you needed a normative claim of what ought do and what you have to recognize as well in the new covenant. The new covenant does show this as well. And so you even exactly made a grave error in your logic because you stated that this is much nicer because normally they killed them.
Yeah. So if you
when
look
you're
at
saying this is much nicer, as in slavery,
right,
is better than killing, meaning you are saying the Bible promotes slavery because it's nicer than killing them.
No, you're not understanding. If you only have two bad choices in a situation and you take the morally better one, it doesn't mean you're promoting that thing. It means you only have bad options. So in that same context, it also says you shall not hand over to his master a slave who has escaped his master to you. That's Deuteronomy 23:15. Why does it say that? If you don't have to return them, right? Then is it promoting slavery?
Yeah, it's stating for your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. This is a direct normative claim of God himself talking to Moses.
You bought by slave. He's giving you regulations for the market that exists at that time. That's what he's doing. He's not saying that this is
which means that they are promoting slavery.
No, that's not promoting. That's regulating.
What is it? What is it promoting?
Do you know what the definition of regulating is? We could pull it up.
I understand what regulating is, but regulating would be, let's make a rule.
An official rule, law, or directive that controls or manages how something is done. Does that sound like what you're describing?
No, because it's what it's stating is that you can go.
I'm prescribing you this thing. It's a good thing. Which one is it?
It's stating that you can buy slaves from foreigners.
An official rule, law, or directive that controls, directs, or manages how something is done. Regulation, right?
Maybe I got to take a step back. Let's try it this way. So if I have a series of nations, let's say that the United Nations states that you can go to foreign nations and take people captive as property, in your mind, would that increase or decrease the amount of slaves on planet Earth?
Okay. First, you're taking today's cultural context and you're applying it to thousands of years ago. These were warring factions. This was the reality of the time. So they're giving directives on how to act accordingly at that time. And then as you move, you have to follow the continuity of the timeline in the Bible. So it's just taking an ancient practice that already existed and regulating it. You're going to have to show me how that's not a regulation.
Okay.
How is that not a regulation?
Well, because the definition of promotion. So if I pull up the definition of promotion, where was it give me a moment. I should have this written down. I wrote it in my PowerPoint slide. If the definition of promote is to contribute the growth or prosperity of, you agree to that definition? Yes.
I gave a definition in my opening. I'll tell you what it is exactly.
Yeah. Do you agree to the?
I'm going to give you my definition. I'm not going to just agree to yours. That clearly fits that. That is clearly a regulation on slavery. I'm going to give you my definition.
That was just a definition. That wasn't.
I'm going to give you mine. I'm not.
All right. Go ahead with your definition.
Yeah. To promote means to endorse, encourage, or advocate for its proliferation.
Encourage and advocate.
So that in no way is what's happening.
I think there's an error in your definition because you're saying it's a bit of a technicality. You said to endorse, encourage. Did you say and or an or between encourage and advocate?
Endorse, encourage, advocate for its proliferation.
Okay, so do all three of those metrics need to be met, or does only one need to be met?
I think only one needs to be met based on that definition.
So then the answer is not an and, it's an or. So to endorse, encourage, or advocate for its proliferation. Fair enough. If I use your definition, so I'm going to ask you once again, right? Because I know that we're not talking about today's atmosphere. That's fine. The problem that I'm asking is that all I have to prove to you is that the definition in the Bible proliferates slavery. If what is being said proliferates slavery. So as an example, we don't really have a lot of slavery in the United States, maybe save for a few areas on planet Earth, maybe if you consider the prison system in the United States. So if the United Nations told all the countries around us saying from foreigners, you may now legally buy slaves, would that increase the amount of slaves, decrease the amount of slaves, or would it remain stagnant?
Okay. I'm going to answer, it might increase. It depends on how many people died in the war. Increase? There's no way of knowing that. You're asking me to agree to some arbitrary thing that you don't know. This is post-war. So we don't know.
Use a little ad hoc reasoning here, right? We don't need like statistics. We could just use our brains and then confirm.
Can we just use our brains? But you want me to grant something to you that we have no way of verifying. We have no way of knowing that for a fact. So no, I'm not going to grant it. Do you agree that there's a moral and logical distinction between a law that promotes an ideal versus a law that regulates a pre-existing broken practice? Do you agree to that?
I think it promotes, but I'm presenting to you my argument.
Do you agree that there's a moral and logical distinction between a law that promotes an ideal versus a law that regulates a pre-existing
yes, and I'm trying to show you that it does indeed promote it if you would engage with it. You can't seem to engage with the answer to the question.
You let me finish this line
Let's
of logic.
operate off of an intuitive nature. Let's use our intuition and say, if the United Nations told other nations, hey, you can from other nations, you may purchase slaves, would that increase slavery, decrease slavery, or would it remain stagnant? If I had to guess, right? If I had to, let's put I think like a majority of Western countries would say, what happened? Did he go away?
Oh, let me fix that.
Oh, it's just his camera, I think.
Okay. So if the United Nations told all of the countries on planet Earth, hey, you may now go to foreigners and you can buy slaves, I would venture to say there would be an X amount of Islamic nations that would likely go, okay, we can own slaves. They end up having slaves. I would venture to say maybe a majority of the West would not. Maybe North Korea, if they, heard it somewhere, may consider collecting slaves. So that would probably increase slavery in the world, right?
Well, your analogy doesn't work. It's a presentism fallacy. Again, you're looking at today and you're applying.
It has nothing. No, it doesn't matter. Let's say if it was
matters.
1,000 years
You
ago,
brought up the
2,000 years
analogy.
ago.
Let him finish his answer.
But it doesn't matter.
No,
what time
let
Presentism
Andrew
fallacy,
finish his answer.
Yeah, that's what that is. You're comparing something today to something that happened thousands of years ago. So no, I don't agree with your analogy at all. What that verse actually says is that if there's a war between your neighboring factions, you could take them as captive after, and it gives regulations on how to do that. That was the standard practice of the day. That's what you're not understanding. Like, it's not promoting what was already the standard practice. That's what I was trying to take you through. But you can continue with me first, and then I'll walk you through my line of logic.
So you're stuck with the fact that I'm bringing up the United Nations in today. Fine, whatever. What if it's 1000 AD? Let's say that there is a tribunal of countries that all agree that you may purchase from foreigners slaves. Would this increase or decrease slavery?
Again, you have to put the caveat that's for it to be analogous, you have to put the same caveat that's in the Bible verse, which is this is after a war. This is after a siege, after an attack.
Nope.
Yes, that's what it says.
Nope.
It says you could take them as captives.
Nope.
Yes.
No. You're confusing the verses. I'm talking about specifically Leviticus 25:44-46, not the captives. So I'm going to read it to you again because you're not remembering. Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you and members of their clans born into your country, and they will become your property. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property and can make them slaves for life, but you must not rule over your fellow Israelites ruthlessly. Okay.
Yeah,
so we know for a fact that it is not regarding war, but even if none of that even matters. If it's 1000 AD and there's this giant tribunal, I don't know, Rome, whatever, tells all the nations, they send a letter to all the nations and say, you can go to foreigners and buy slaves. Would that increase, decrease, or stagnate the amount of slaves?
Well, it wouldn't. Those people are already. See, this is what you're missing. So, okay, I think I see it now. What you're missing. This is a slave trade that already existed. So it's not going to change the number of slaves at all. For that to happen, they would have to be told to go out and capture slaves and start a slave trade. These people someone else is just going to buy them. If I go into the store and I buy a bottle of water, does it increase the amount of water? Or did that water?
I would imagine
exist? I just went in there and bought it.
You're telling everybody to buy water.
But did I increase? No. You tried to take me down this line of logic. Did I increase the amount of bottles of water? Or did I just buy?
By increasing demand, you would therefore increase supply.
Now, there's no proof that back then that is
exactly what would happen. The rules of economics wouldn't be the same.
Capture in the slave market.
To engage in all logic, like it just understanding from I would say a pretty obvious standpoint. If there was an X amount of nations that says, okay, no slavery abolished, no, we don't want slaves, but then you have some giant authority, and in this case, it would be the authority of the universe, saying you can go to foreign countries and buy slaves. That is, in fact, endorsing, encouraging, and advocating its proliferation.
isn't.
So that is your definition.
It isn't.
You
can go
and
buy
the reason why you won't answer the question, the reason why you will not answer the question is because you know that that's what happens.
Right now. You can go buy cigarettes. Ought you do that?
What did I say anything about cigarettes?
I'm giving you something that's analogous. It's something that's not a good practice. You can go buy them. You can go buy them at the store for $15.99 or whatever they cost. That doesn't mean you ought do that thing. The Bible is regulating an economy that already existed. That's what you're not understanding. You're confusing a civil concession in the Bible from an ancient society with an ideal command. Where does God say, "Thou shalt buy slaves"?
Well, I mean, it's not just the ideal command. It's actually your failure condition. I presented pretty concretely your failure condition to your face. You just are seeming to act as if that I didn't show you that. But if you did say, for example, if the government came and told people that you can buy cigarettes, then yeah, that would actually increase the proliferation and advocacy of cigarettes.
How do you know that that's a fact though? Because they also
that shows that's what happens in the past.
So maybe that doesn't.
The government had to go out and tell people explicitly that it's unhealthy for you, and then it reduced the demand for cigarettes.
When something is illegal, like whether it be prohibition in alcohol or like drug use, people want to do those things more. So sometimes making them legal doesn't cause the proliferation of that thing, and sometimes buying out things doesn't cause a market to react if there are no more of those things to supply. So you're smuggling in a lot of things to make your case that there's a slave trade, that every slave is immediately replaced with two more, would have to be the case for it to proliferate more slaves if I buy one. That slave already existed. The Bible isn't creating the slave. Again, it's just, all it's doing is making a civil concession for the time. So this is what already existed. There was warring tribes all outside of Israel. They were operating under these laws and ways of operating anyway. So, and again, I've already told, I mean, we could keep going over these passages, but you're also not taking into account the continuity here, that there's a new covenant. So all these rules are, first of all, that's what they are. They're rules and regulations, as I already pointed out. And they're not even relevant anymore is the worst part. You don't even have to follow them. So I'd like you to establish where the moral ought is, especially if you take the entire Bible into account, because clearly that's not the case.
I already did. My intro literally did exactly that.
Where is that moral?
And then you go off and saying that I'm referring to making things legal or illegal. We're not even talking about that. I'm saying that by stating you may buy slaves. If the government said something along the lines of you may buy cocaine, then certainly the amount of cocaine as well as the demand for cocaine would proliferate. Therefore,
that's
would be a promotion. That's not hard to determine.
That's actually not certain so when the government says you ought do things, that you can do things like that, there's huge taxes on it. And it takes some of the appeal away from people. So it's not as like of a dangerous thing to do. And I don't think most people want to do cocaine. So I don't think they really care if it's legal or not. So saying that if the government made it legal, and this stuff already existed, that's the point that you keep on missing, is that it was already in existence. That's where I'm trying to get with you, that they're regulating.
If it's in existence,
the Bible isn't saying
then it would promote.
Go create this system, go steal people and start selling them and create a slave trade. Nowhere does it say that. It's arguing. It's regulating from a system that already exists that it eventually dismantles. It just takes time.
It took 1,000 years for it to dismantle, but regardless of that fact, even after Jesus's death, slavery was still pretty pervasive. So the idea that it abolishes slavery, it certainly does not. And the fact that I could bring up literal slavers' accounts where they argue that they are endorsing slavery. And even by you made a grave error very early in. You said this is much nicer, referring to slavery, because they killed them, by saying that, hey, the alternative is much better. Slavery is much better than killing them. You're tacitly stating that they are promoting it with your own words.
No. What I'm saying is
Then
that
what were you
there was
referring
this
to when you
ancient
said
practice.
this is
If you
much
look at other
nicer?
codes, like the Hammurabi Code, they just killed their captives. So what I'm saying is we're moving in a direction that's morally better, that eventually gets rid of slavery. So there's no way you could say it promotes it. There's no way. And if you say that about slaveholders that cited the Bible incorrectly, you could also look at, like I brought up in my opening, Frederick Douglass, that is one of the number one abolitionists that specifically denounces that very thing and those slaveholders as not holding the correct view of Christianity, and then cites, which is clearly not, any book can be corrupted, but clearly all the abolitionists cite this image of God and being brothers in Christ is the reason that they couldn't continue the slave trade. So how that promotes, what's the golden rule of Christianity, dude? What is it?
Well, again, I mean, you're saying
What is it?
that we're moving in a direction that's
What is
morally.
the golden rule of
I have to address
Christianity?
what you're saying, right? I can't just
You won't
answer every
answer
single
my question?
question. I have to address what you're saying. You're stating
Sure.
that we're moving in a direction that's morally better, but it actually doesn't. It took well over 1,000 years. I think it's about 1,600 years, and then a giant civil war to get slavery to be abolished. And even then, rendered many Black Americans effectively second-class citizens. They were still salty about that. Even to this day, you have people who have the Confederate flag arguing for quote-unquote states' rights. Of course, state rights to own a human being, but regardless of that point, if you're stating that that it was better than just simply killing them, then in reality, you're saying, well, slavery is better than killing them. That would mean that it is promoting slavery instead of killing slaves.
Yeah,
I
but
can't
that's not
make it
what the
any
prompt is.
any simpler
No,
for you.
they're
No, the
regulating-
prompt is, does the Bible promote slavery?
Which
And
it
all I
doesn't.
need to do, I don't need to produce, because there's a lot of contradictions in the Bible. This is one of them. The slavery thing is a huge one of them.
not.
Jesus is frightfully, he is completely absent on this whole thing. He doesn't answer a single thing regarding slavery, but he does say that, hey, you're all the flowery language, like we're all children of God, and, we all come from that. But of course, you'll have Colossians as well as multiple verses that state specifically that slaves, you are to obey your earthly masters, just as you would obey respect and fear, just as you would obey in Christ. It's very clear, even in New Testament, it does in fact promote slavery. And
Where
and
exactly?
even by your own speech, you
Where?
acknowledge that it does promote slavery, considering the fact that you're saying, well, worse was to kill them.
Yeah, I'm pointing out the other codes of the time, the other regulations of the time. These are regulations. The other
Except it's not.
regulation of the time, not promotions. This
I
regulation
literally
is better
showed you
than
the
that
verse.
one. That's my claim, not the Bible's. The Bible doesn't say it. They're giving you regulations that are allowing you to move forward. And what you said, I want to go back also to the abolitionist slaveholders. Frederick Douglass answered this himself. He explicitly called Southern slaveholding in Christianity, I'm going to quote it, a wicked perversion, and contrasted with the pure, peaceful, impartial Christianity of Christ. So if you take someone who is citing the Bible for something that is clearly, especially if you follow the continuity of the Bible, which you haven't addressed at all. You said that Jesus doesn't say anything about it, but I read you a verse, I think it was Luke 14, where he specifically says, he says it twice, I came to bring liberty to the oppressed and freedom to the captive, or some shit. I can get you the exact quote again. So saying that it doesn't address it, it's specifically Jesus telling you why he came. And then also Paul in Philemon tells him, free, don't take your slave back, free your slave, I'll pay for it. This is the moral thing that we should do as brothers in Christ. So how is that a promotion of slavery? And not just regulations that existed in the Old Testament?
Because Jesus Christ was largely absent from speaking explicitly about slavery. He literally did not speak about it at all. You could word it in such a way by saying, I came to bring liberty to the oppressed and freedom to the captive. Therefore, he's referring to literal slaves and indentured servants? How do you know that Jesus Christ is not saying something along the lines of he's there to redeem your souls and that you will be free in the afterlife? Jesus had always said things like this. If I were Jesus, if I were him, I would probably say something along the lines of free the bonds, all indentured servants. Slaves are to be free. If he said something like that, we would not be having this debate, but he never, ever said that. And even in New Testament, stating slaves, obey your earthly masters with respect and fear, just as you would obey in Christ, in multiple books in the New Chapter, in the New Testament, and you stating your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you, and from them you may buy slaves. You tacitly agreed that verse is better than doing what they typically do, which is to kill them, which would mean that's a promotion of slavery.
It's not a promotion. It's a comparison. It's not a promotion. Just because two things can be bad and then one thing is better than the other doesn't mean you're promoting that thing. It's not promoting either thing. It's dealing with the society of the time and choosing between two really bad choices. So it's not promoting it. And Jesus says it twice. We know he's not just talking about the Spirit because it's twice in the same sentence. He says, I'll read it again. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. This is Luke 4:18. Because he has anointed me to proclaim the good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives, recovering of sight to the blind, and to set liberty to those who are oppressed. Let me ask you a question. In the New Testament, did Jesus literally recover sight to the blind, or what? Is that some metaphor?
I don't believe in any of the miracles of the Bible, but if you're asking what specifically was said in the Bible, I'll grant you whatever was said in the Bible, as long as you're accurately reading out from the Bible verse.
So you're saying that Jesus in the Bible, he wasn't being metaphorical when he recovered someone's sight. He actually recovered their sight in the Bible story.
It says here, actually the verse that you were pointing out is actually incorrect. You said, I came to bring liberty to the oppressed and freedom to the captive.
Liberty to the captives and set at liberty those who are oppressed.
And this is Luke 4:18. Is this correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So he was in Nazareth and he was on the Sabbath day. He went to a synagogue and he stood up and read a scroll of the prophet Isaiah when it was handed to him. And he found the place where it is written, the Spirit of the Lord is on me because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners, not slaves, and recovery of the sight for the blind, and to set the oppressed free, to proclaim the years the Lord's Savior. Why would you say that was a slave as opposed to a prisoner?
Freedom for the oppressed. What is that? Like whether or not I don't know what the exact. We'd have to look at the original Greek, I guess, and see exactly what that word is, as we have different translations, I guess. But even if he says it twice,
so
he
once
says
again,
it again, you just read it, liberty to the oppressed. And again, I asked
so once again,
when he says, I came to bring sight to the blind, did he actually do that? Or was he being, was he speaking in parables, or did he actually give sight to blind people? Did he spit on the dirt and rub the dirt in their eyes and then they could see? Did that happen? Yes or no?
The story goes that Jesus brought sight to the blind. I don't believe he ever did that, though.
I'm not asking if you believe. I'm saying in the Bible, does it say that he actually brought sight? Is that what the Bible claims?
Yes, the Bible claims that he brought sight to the blind.
So why would it be in the exact same sentence? You said, how do we know it's not a spiritual command or something? Because they wouldn't say one literal sentence of things he's actually doing and then one parable. Like they're telling you literally with commas, he's going to do this, this, and this. And one of them is bring freedom to the oppressed. And guess what? He did do that. It's funny that these abolitionists did cite Christianity as their reason for doing that. Isn't that funny? He says, I'm going to do it, makes a prediction. It's in the book. And then it happens and the people cite it.
And it turns out he just happens to fail to do it for 1,000 years. It's only until 1,600 years after the fact of Jesus Christ's death that quote unquote Christ did it. What a great that's a terrible prophecy, considering it took 1600 years for it to do anything. And then secondly, your verse doesn't even refer to slaves. You are just simply reading into it that he's referring to oppressed people, which means therefore the slave. But here's the thing, they probably wouldn't even refer to them as oppressed. They would say that they are people that are captive because they took over, or that they purchased it from foreigners, and so therefore is allowed. That's why it took 1600 years to get rid of it, because it is all over the Bible where it argues in favor of slavery. Even your very own verse doesn't do a very good job. Jesus Christ never explicitly says anything regarding slavery or the abolition of slavery.
What does liberty mean?
What does liberty mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't even say liberty in your verse. I pulled it up. It's not there.
What does your verse say
here,
about,
I'll share it for everyone to see.
What does your verse say?
I'll share it for everyone to see.
What was the last line of the verse? The one you read.
The Spirit of the Lord. Here, hold on a sec. The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor.
To set the oppressed, mine says liberty. Yours says free. That's even better. I was going to say liberty means freedom. So yours is actually,
but it's not even referring to slaves.
Set the oppressed free.
It doesn't even refer to slaves. Even if I use your verse, I'm being you are being insanely charitable, but on this verse. But when I bring to you a verse that very clearly endorses slavery, your argument was, well, that's better, which means that endorses slavery.
So what? That doesn't
I think that's pretty obvious. So what? That's a concession for the argument there, my dude. Andrew, you just lost the debate.
Am I promoting it? If I say chemotherapy is better than death, am I promoting getting
actually, yeah.
No, yes. I'm not. It's a worst case scenario. That's not a promotion. A plan for a worst case scenario is not a promotion.
It would be. It is.
It's not. It
is.
It's a directive on how to move in this ancient society that already existed. So let me take you down a line of logic then, since I've been charitable and I've answered your question, right? Do you have any more? Or
I mean, you keep digging your heels in, and you're trying to read into the Bible things that it doesn't say. And
you just read it.
And when I showed you very clearly what the Bible says, and you have to put yourself into twists once again, showing what it did not say, and you made a very grave error. You did.
Not a grave error.
Tacitly saying, well, it's better. That means that it does promote slavery.
Is it better?
Sure, but also that would be promoting it.
That doesn't mean
that would be promoting slavery.
No, it doesn't. Alcohol is better than heroin. Am I?
Yes, you're promoting alcohol now.
That doesn't mean I could still say you shouldn't drink at all, right? That's not a promotion. Like,
okay,
I can say this thing is better than getting punched in the face is better than getting kicked in the balls. Am I promoting getting punched in the face? Like, nothing you're saying actually tracks logically. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it does, because I actually asked you very early in. I said, what would it take to convince you that the Bible promotes slavery? And you said that you would need an actual normative claim of what you ought to do, and you have to recognize that in the new covenant, of which I did substantiate, yet here you are digging your heels in. You have been provided the exact information that you need. We have a valid defeater, and you even yourself said that it's better, which would mean that it is promoting slavery.
No way, dude. In no way does
then what do I need to do to convince you? Because I've already provided it to you. Maybe if you want to shift the goalpost, maybe it'll work.
It's not shifting the goalpost. Those two.
No, I'm saying you can. I'm giving you the option to shift the goalpost and change your criteria on what would be a failure condition, because I've already provided the exact failure condition you requested.
No, you didn't. You said the definition you said, you tried to catch me on proliferation. That's what you did. You tried to say, if we buy slaves, does it proliferate more slavery? I said to you, it doesn't. No. And we talked about things like supply and demand. So no, you did not prove that in any way. And then you said that in the New Testament, it continues this promotion of slavery, which you also didn't show. I'm showing you words from Jesus himself, words from Paul himself, telling
Absent.
you not to do these things.
No,
And that
absent.
Jesus is going to free the oppressed. You literally, I was going to use
In
the
the
word
afterlife.
liberty, which was harder. You used the word free. You brought the word free the
In the
oppressed
afterlife.
into it, right next to a line where he says, restore sight to the blind, which you admitted in the book he literally did in the context of the book. So no, dude, your logic is way off here. It doesn't track.
I mean, you could say that the logic is way off, but I asked you for your failure
is a
condition. I
promotion in
provided
any
exactly
way.
that. And you seem to kind of twist yourself into knots to make it
That's
not
not
work.
twisting
And
a
also
knot.
the debate prompt, so you're aware, is the Bible promotes slavery. And I've shown, even by your criteria, that the Bible does indeed promote slavery, even if I acknowledge verses that could insinuate that slaves ought be free. This does not remove early Old Testament verses, nor does it revoke the New Testament verses where it explicitly gives further rulings on slavery. This is why it took over 1,600 years for slavery to become abolished after Jesus Christ's death.
No, it does actually. See, you're smuggling that in. You're saying that I agreed based on the definition, which I just brought up 2 seconds ago, the proliferation, which I said, no, there's no proof that would be the case, that it would proliferate slavery. For that to happen, for there to be more slaves, there would possibly have to be another neighboring village for them to attack and enslave and then sell them to the Israelites. So no, it doesn't mean that it's going to proliferate it. So I deny, I'm not agreeing with that part of your argument. So no, it's not correct. So how exactly did you get, based on my definition, that I agreed that it was promotion? And where in the New Testament did you show that it continues this into the New Testament? When I'm showing you
provided multiple verses.
Jesus.
I provided multiple verses.
Which
but let me
verse
take a look here. Where is
Testament?
the definition that you provided? I have it written down here. My apologies. It says here that your definition is to endorse, encourage, or advocate for its proliferation.
Correct.
So I'm assuming proliferate as in more of that thing, right?
Again,
and so
proliferate the slave trade
if someone,
is not happening here.
If, for example, the government stated that you may buy cocaine, then certainly the amount of cocaine as well as the demand for cocaine would indeed proliferate and therefore be a promotion of cocaine. If God told the Israelites from foreigners, you may buy slaves, if God told them that you may buy slaves, then certainly an amount of slaves as well as the demand for slaves would proliferate and therefore be a promotion.
It doesn't follow that the amount of slaves would proliferate because you bought some. Like, again, you're using presentism. Those people were already slaves. I don't know what you're fucking laughing about. Like, they're already slaves. So
that's proliferating it.
That buying one is going to spontaneously combust more slaves. More slaves automatically exist now because I bought one. That you haven't proved that at all. Not even close. Again, you're using presentism. It doesn't apply here. You can't say
I don't
that
need
just
to
because
use
I bought
presentism. I can use anything. If I have if I state something along the lines that you may buy cattle from foreigners, then certainly the amount of cattle as well as the demand for cattle would proliferate and therefore be a promotion. I don't need it to be modern to realize that when you say you may go out and to these areas and purchase this thing, that it is is a commercial to you a promotion?
Well, it depends. You can have commercials like public service announcements that are
Okay, fair enough.
Promoting things that are actually. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you can have commercials that offer that tell you how to regulate certain situations, just like this, as far as like PSAs go. So no, it's not necessarily promotion, and it doesn't follow that just because again, saying that you can go to this neighboring town and purchase a slave is not promotion. It's regulating a current system that already exists. Nowhere does it say go set up a slave trade, capture these people, sell them as slaves, do this, sell these. It doesn't say that. It's saying you can go buy this already existed. So it's not promoting the slave trade at all. Or I'll give you an example. If there's only X amount of diamonds in the world and you buy one, did I proliferate more diamonds?
Yes, because that would create an induced demand, which would increase the price of diamonds, albeit a very tiny margin. But yes, it would increase people wanting to supply diamonds because there is a demand for diamonds.
Yeah, but if there are no more, then you can't, then supply, and it's not going to matter.
Well,
you
then
can't
the
fill
price
the
of the
supply.
diamond would increase.
But if there's no supply, it doesn't matter. You're not proliferating it because there isn't any more. So there isn't any more. That's what I'm saying.
But it's not like that there was like a finite amount of slaves. There were foreigners around them.
How did they
and they
get
could just
the
go
slaves?
out and buy slaves because God said you can.
But
now,
how did they get the slaves?
I'm actually kind of curious. Let's say if there was a public service announcement that says from 7-Eleven.
Let me fix that.
Oh,
I can hear you.
If I said from 7-Eleven, you may buy a Reese's Fast Break. Would that be a promotion?
It depends on what was in the commercial. Like just saying you may do something is not a promotion. We already established that. Like you may go buy heroin. I'm not promoting it just because I'm saying you may do it. You may go out on the street and do it. You do whatever the fuck you want. Doesn't mean I'm promoting it. No, it doesn't mean that. And if there were no more of those things, what did you say we could buy? What was the example you used?
Okay, hold on. So
wait,
now,
let me finish my response. What was the example? What was the thing you used in the example?
From 7-Eleven, you may buy a Reese's Fast Break.
Right. Okay.
I'm
So
not
if they
sponsored by
weren't
Reese's.
making,
I just really like
if
Reese's
there were
Fast
no
Breaks, by the
more
way.
Reese's Fast Breaks, right? It's not going to proliferate the amount of them. That's what I'm saying.
But if
There's
you
only a
increase the
set
demand
number.
of Reese's Fast Break,
But if they're not,
that would
making
encourage
anymore, then what's the
Reese's to
difference?
make more Reese's Fast Breaks.
But what if they don't have the ingredients to make more? That's what I'm saying.
What?
Where did they get the slaves from?
Okay, I mean,
Where did they?
I
get
didn't
the
think that this was
slaves
going to
from?
turn into like a
Where did they get the
supply and
slaves
demand
from?
argument.
Where
But
did they
if I
get them from?
said here, for example, your Reese's Fast Breaks and Reese's products are to come from your 7-Elevens around you. From there, you may buy Reese's Fast Breaks. Is that a promotion for a Reese's Fast Break or no?
That's not what this is doing. This is a regulation. If you had a regulation,
I'm just curious. I'm asking, is it a promotion?
If you're putting, it depends. If you're putting it on,
What do you
TV
mean? I
and
just did it. Listen,
that's not
here's the
what this
commercial.
is
Are you ready?
at all.
I'm
This
going to
is
do
a
the commercial with
regulation
you.
of an
Okay,
ancient
hold on. Maybe I
practice.
gotta put on a
You're
mask.
talking about.
We'll do a commercial. We'll do it live. All right. I got a MAGA hat on.
Again, you're using presentism.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
We're talking about an ancient practice. I'm asking you where the slaves.
Are you ready for the
came
commercial?
from.
Here's the
Where-
commercial.
Have I
The commercial
answered
is-
every one of your fucking questions?
Where
Where did the
the
slaves
commercial
come from?
is?
Where did the slaves come from? Moderator,
Hey, everybody.
you're just making me answer. his
If
questions
I
the
can,
whole time.
if I
You're
can
not
try to,
engaging with any
if
of
I
my
can,
questions.
oh yeah, if I can just try to cross a bridge here for a second, I think what's happening is, because I don't think Andrew necessarily disagrees with what you're saying, Amender, about supply and demand. I think Andrew's saying in your Reese example, there's no more Reese's to be made, as in there's no more people to be slaves, if that helps understand what Andrew's saying here.
There's
I don't think
effectively
he disagrees
an
about
infinite-
supply and demand. He's saying there's no more slaves to be slaves.
That's
there's an infinite amount of foreigners. You don't have enough. You don't have enough people in your nation to buy all the people in other nations from foreigners.
How
so
did they buy-
in the
no,
same
but-
way of a purchasing a Reese's Fast Break, if a lot of people are buying Reese's Fast Break, this encourages the Reese's company to make more Reese's Fast Break. So that in effect is a promotion of a Reese's Fast Break. So let's say again, and I, all I did was say, hey, your Reese's products and Reese's Fast Breaks are to come from the 7-Eleven around you. And from them, you may buy a Reese's Fast Break. I think from anybody thinking about this and looking at this would realize if I said that, obviously it's a promotion of a Reese's Fast Break. Am I wrong?
That's the Hume is-ought fallacy. No, it isn't. You're saying this
is not an is-ought fallacy. It says you may buy it.
No, absolutely not. You're confusing the is and the ought.
It's obviously a promotion.
An is statement.
Well,
You said there is a seven. You use the word is. There is a 7-Eleven on the corner, and you may do this thing. So no, that's a Hume's is-ought fallacy, sir. No, that is incorrect. It doesn't promote that thing by any means. There's no you ought buy Reese's. Where is that in your sentence? And again, I ask you
the fact that you may buy them.
Huh?
Because it says specifically that you may buy them.
Yeah, just because
you may
do something doesn't mean you ought do that thing.
Sure, but it is telling you can go out there and buy it. In fact, it actually would be an ought in that case.
No, it's not an ought.
It is.
It's giving you a regulation based on what's going on.
It's saying you have the choice to or not to, but you can, right? The point. And honestly, if you think about it, it is more. I guess it's providing to them. What did you say earlier? You said that it was. Hold on, I had it written down here. Let's see. You said that this is much nicer because normally they killed them. So this is actually, it's a suggestion to do the nice thing, which is to slave them and not kill them.
Again, you're going back to that. Why? Because you lost.
Yeah, because
I don't understand.
No, it's not. No, I mean, to me, it's obvious,
it
right? In the 7-Eleven ad, that it is promoting that. I don't even have to say that you have to buy that. I can just promote it, and then that would be enough. And right here in the Bible, it says pretty explicitly, and this is just one verse. There's many verses like this. So it's obvious to me, but for whatever reason,
this whole thing
you want to dig your heels in because I get it. I get it. You're a Christian, and knowing that your Bible promotes
let's let Andrew answer to what you're saying there.
Yeah, you're spinning all over. The whole way this started is you said because of my definition that I gave, proliferation would occur if you bought more slaves based on supply and demand. What I'm saying to you that you will not address is that there's a finite amount of slaves. So it doesn't necessarily follow that you will proliferate slavery by interacting in said slave trade. Yes or no?
Yes, it does result in increased supply. Yes.
Okay. What if there's a finite amount and there are no more?
That's not possible. You're one nation. You have many nations around you. That will never happen.
What if they don't have the military capacity or the will to fight? Or
it's not a matter of military capacity. You can just go to a foreigner and ask for a slave and they'll buy it. It has nothing to do with a military ability.
Follow that it's going to proliferate the practice. That there is scenarios where you could go there and purchase the slave and it doesn't proliferate more slaves. Yes or no? Be honest.
Sorry, what's your question? One more time. I was looking something up.
There is a scenario, multiple scenarios, where you could go purchase a slave and it would not proliferate more slaves, as you were saying. Does that scenario exist? Yes or no?
No.
It doesn't? What if there's no more slaves to buy?
Then I suppose there would be no more slaves, but there were plenty of slaves.
Don't want to go capture more slaves.
Yeah, people that's actually what happened with the slave trade. When you had people show up, they would purchase slaves and then they would pay money and then they would leave. This actually created an induced demand between tribes where if they captured another tribe, they could sell them off to slavery. And that was beneficial for everybody involved. So it was a constant battle getting people captured, getting them sold off to slavery. So by the creation of that demand of slavery, it in fact did increase the overall amount of slaves.
Again, you're talking about the supply. I mean, you're talking about the demand. I'm talking about the supply. So I'm asking you.
These are interrelated.
You just said, say that again. I didn't hear you.
These are interrelated concepts.
Right.
But increasing demand
individually.
It dictates.
You can have a demand without a supply, right?
You can have a demand without a supply. Yes, that's possible.
Okay, so it's not, is it possible that you could have a demand for slaves without a supply?
All right. Well, I don't know what to tell you here.
Is that
I'll
possible?
provide
Yes
this.
or no?
I'll provide this. I mean, I don't know.
You
Like,
want to answer the
what
question?
do you know in
Everyone, I just want you to realize he will not answer the question.
what do you know about
because it destroys his whole argument.
All right, sorry. Go ahead. What was the question? Because you're gonna
Is it
get all upset about that.
you can have a demand for slaves without the supply?
I've already answered this. Yes, it is possible to have a demand without there being existing any supply. Sure.
Right. You answered it in reference to something else. I wanted to verify that you were also
in a
granting that
hypothetical
so now I'm
alternative
showing
world.
You that
Yes.
everything you were saying about my definition, and therefore, if we buy slaves, we're proliferating more slaves. You just conceded is not true. It doesn't follow that necessarily happens. You just conceded that. So, what is your next point?
Well, because when you buy more of a product, do the prices rise?
That's not proliferation. That's not creating more slaves.
I'm not asking that. I'm saying when you buy more of a product, do prices rise?
It depends. So again, you could be buying more of a product and that same day they get an influx of supply and the price drops. Is that possible?
No. Basic Econ 101 would tell you that when prices rise,
it's supply
when
and
demand
demand.
exceeds supply. When demand exceeds supply, that does in fact increase prices.
But that's a different thing. Now
Which prompts higher production. I mean, I could give you the Investopedia.
That's a different question.
I'm not making this up when I'm saying when you are purchasing slaves. But again, you're going way off into left field where we have to talk about supply demand metrics. No, it's not, because it's to me, and I think I hope everybody else, that obviously if you say from your male or female slaves are to come from the nations around you, from them you may buy slaves. That's a promotion. That's a promotion of slavery.
Okay, so if the price of slaves increases, does the demand for slaves go down? Wouldn't that also follow then?
Quantity demanded would decrease as price increases.
About, bro? Okay, so then there's no promotion there. Like there's no proliferation on that definition.
It is.
It isn't. What if
because when prices increase, this encourages supply to supply more.
If you could, just for like everyone's sake here, because I feel like we're getting a little off field. If you could just tie in how the price and supply and demand ties into the promotion for us.
Me?
No, I'm asking. Yeah, I'm asking you, Amanda.
Based off what you're
saying. It doesn't. My argument has nothing to do with supply and demand.
Bro, you brought up supply and demand.
All right, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to respond, or is this the?
You brought up supply and demand.
Hold on. He asked me to clarify, and I'm trying to explain it. Hey, Speakeasy, can I get some control?
Yeah, let Amanda just explain how the supply and demand and the pricing ties into the promotion here.
Okay, so this has absolutely nothing to do with my argument. It's actually Andrew's argument, where he was saying that if you have more people buying slaves, does that result in there being more slaves? His answer is no, but a basic supply demand chart would tell you that yes, it does increase proliferation of slavery, because what you're doing is that you're giving a price signal to get more slaves, because there's a profit incentive. But regardless of that, I don't need any of that. It says plain as day, your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may specifically go to a foreign nation and purchase slaves. This is God talking to Moses, saying, this is what you may do, which is in effect promotion of slavery. I don't need to apply any supply demand, nothing.
He's regulating the system that already exists. Promotion of slavery would be go set up a slave trade and sell slaves. That would be promotion of slavery. Like what they're saying, this system already exists.
From a foreign nation.
And this is how you should operate inside of it. And you walked back exactly what you said about the supply and demand thing, because you knew you were wrong on it. That's the only reason you did that. You just tried to smuggle it in again, but you conceded already that there could be a case where supply isn't available, even though there's a demand. You just conceded that 5 minutes ago. So it doesn't follow that it would proliferate if you purchase more slaves, that there would proliferate more slaves. You already conceded that. So you can't even follow your own logic from 5 minutes ago.
All right, let's try it this way. From the death of Jesus Christ to, I don't know, when slavery was abolished, right before slavery was abolished, was there more or less slaves?
What was the question?
Okay. So Jesus died to right before the abolition of slavery, right?
Yep, from Jesus's death to
What time do you think that there were more slaves?
Well, there's more people
Uh-huh.
so there's probably more as we move forward in history.
Ah.
But it's not the Christians. The Arab slave trade was far more systematic and brutal and continued far long after.
So
The
another
Christians had the
another
embargo. You know what the Ivory Coast
another one
embargo is?
referencing Yahweh God, but we
Won't
don't
answer
even have
any
to talk
question.
about that. I agree with you there. There's even still slaves in Afghanistan to this day, but
There's
that's
slaves
beside
in
the point.
Sudan, there's slaves.
Yeah, I agree.
in
I
North
agree. I agree.
Korea.
I agree. So
But that's not
if
Christian,
it
right?
increases
So if the Bible's promoting
after
slavery,
having
why
the
aren't Christian
Bible and
nations the ones
Jesus
doing
and
it?
all that good stuff,
Uh-huh.
it seems to have proliferated. It's fair to say.
What? Say that again.
It seems to have proliferated from the time of Jesus'
Not
death
by Christians.
to the day right before the abolition of slavery.
Not by Christians. It was
No,
proliferating.
by Christians. We're talking about the United States.
Christians had the slave trade for the shortest amount of time, literally the shortest amount of time, and they abolished
And
it
what
first.
happened? It proliferated, did it
They
not?
fucking abolished it. They fought and died to free these slaves. They embargoed the coast of
Yeah.
Africa, so the
They
Africans
just went a
could
really
stop
long time of
capturing
having
selling
and
their
could
own
buy
people.
from
The
foreigners
Christians did
slaves,
that,
and they were going
cited
to
the
foreign
Bible.
countries buying slaves.
Say again.
So I just want to be clear, right? Because it says here, your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You don't believe that this proliferates, despite the fact that it did proliferate. Despite all of the teachings of Jesus Christ in the Bible,
Well,
it
that
still
doesn't mean that
proliferated.
That specific time.
Did it or did it
proliferated
not
slavery.
proliferate?
No, it doesn't. That doesn't follow at all.
This guy's a clown. You're like antithetical to reality. All right.
No,
okay.
dude, you're
I think I'm good.
antithetical to reality. Christians fought and died to free the
I'm
slave
done.
trade and then cited the Bible as the reason that they did it. And you're like, they proliferated it. No, they fucking
It did.
ended it. And you're disrespecting them, the people that died to do that, by laughing about it. They
I'm
fucking
not
ended the slave trade.
disrespecting
The
anybody.
first
You're
in
the
history,
one
the Arabs kept doing it
that's
long.
got
They
it
still do
incorrect.
it today. They still practice chattel slavery today.
Yeah,
in
also bad.
Sudan.
I'm not
Today.
promoting them their slavery either.
So,
I don't know
these
what this
Christians
argument
are
is.
citing Christianity, Frederick Douglass, William.
Yes, whether or
Wilberforce.
not that the
They're
Bible
citing
promotes
the
slavery, and it
reason
does.
that
I
they're
showed you
doing
that
it.
exact
They're
the
telling
exact
you,
verses
I'm
that show that.
doing this because why? What did they say?
Huh? I don't know.
What
I
did
don't
those
know what you're
abolitionists
trying to say.
What did they say? I've
I don't
it.
know. Frederick
William
Douglass was
Wilberforce-
like slavery bad. I don't know.
No. What
All
did they
right,
say
so-
the reason was
So I was just gonna say that brings us to an hour. But like I said at the beginning, if you guys want more time of open floor, I'm open to it. If both of yous wanted it, if you felt like there was something else, some other point you guys wanted to get to, we spent quite a bit of time on.
I would like to ask him just a couple of questions, considering the entire time he wouldn't answer any of my questions.
I did. I answered all questions you threw at me.
Yeah, but I also want the opportunity to question you.
Sure.
If I could, just for a few minutes.
Sure.
Okay.
Are you open to that, Amanda? And we can put another 15 minutes on the floor.
Let's not make it 15 minutes. I can answer a few questions and let's go to Q&A. I don't have all night.
Okay. Well, first,
we'll put 10 then for now, and then see where we go from there.
Fine. Thank you. Okay. So I believe you agreed to this earlier, but just to get the whole line in, I'm going to ask one more time. You agree that there's a moral and logical distinction between a law that promotes an ideal versus a law that regulates a pre-existing.
You've already asked this. I said yes.
I know. I'm trying to get through the line. You wouldn't let me do it before. So yes, you agree with that. Okay. Did Moses or God invent slavery in Genesis, or was slavery already a universal across the entire ancient Near East?
No, slavery existed way before the Bible.
Okay, perfect. So can you point to me a single verse in scripture where God commands believers to go out, raid a peaceful town, kidnap people, and establish a slave trade?
Yes.
Where does he tell them to establish a slave trade?
Leviticus 25:44.
No, he tells them to take captives from war. I'm asking if you could point to a verse where he asked them to establish a slave trade. And then
Leviticus
Exodus
25:44.
21, Exodus, we're going all the way back. 21:16 mandates the death penalty for anyone that steals a human being, right?
What was this? What was the verse?
Exodus 21:16 mandates the death penalty for anyone who steals a human being.
Anyone who kidnaps someone is to be put to death, whether the victim has been sold or is still in the kidnapper's possession. So basically, when someone is physically arresting somebody without any just cause, therefore they are to be death. But that doesn't really remove slavery. That just means you can't unjustly grab somebody randomly.
Correct. You cannot go kidnap a person and sell them into bondage. So doesn't that tell you that the Bible is explicitly outlawing the entire supply chain? That's why I was trying to ask you, where do these slaves come from? The Bible here in Exodus is explicitly outlawing the entire supply chain of historical chattel slavery. The entire supply chain. It
doesn't, because people go out and they want to make money, so they get slaves. They themselves do not have to kidnap. Someone else does the kidnapping for them, and then they buy a slave lawfully by the virtue of God.
Right. But what I'm saying is that the Bible is explicitly saying you can't do this. So there's no way that it's promoting it. It's not promoting the slave trade. Again, it's regulating an existing trade. If it was promoting the slave trade, it would be saying to go out and do this thing, go out and capture people and sell them as slaves. That's not what it's saying. Literally, you can't do that. Literally, don't do that is what it's saying. And it's saying this is how you're going to operate inside this a broken system that already exists, which you just granted. So what I'm trying to show you is not promoting slavery. It's telling you how to act inside this broken system, and then eventually gets to the point where it is the thing that causes the abolition of slavery, which you also kind of already granted. So what I'll ask you one last time also, what is the golden rule of Christianity?
The golden rule, do harm unto others as you would have harm done unto you, or do not do harm unto others.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I think that alone, that being the golden rule after Jesus already tells us that he came to free the oppressors in a line that we just showed wasn't like metaphorical, shows that the Bible doesn't promote slavery. You're not allowed to kidnap people. You're supposed to, Jesus is coming to bring freedom from the oppressors. And it's literally telling you that it doesn't promote these things. So that's what I'm trying to get you to understand, that there's a difference between operating in a system that already exists, which you also granted already, that this system already existed, and proliferating something or promoting it.
Gotcha. None of that argues against my point, however. And given the fact that it's better than it is to kill them, you already know that it's proliferation. You already know.
That's not proliferation. We already went over this like 50 times. You have to go back to it because you can't
you're just
stay
digging
on
your
line
heels
of
in.
logic.
I'm
And
just
I got you
pointing out the
on
reality.
Dude. Huh?
You didn't get me on anything. You just brought up other things that are not related to the quote.
It's not related. If I'm going to show you how a line of logic works. If you agree that there's a distinction between between a law that promotes,
there's a lot of contradictions in the Bible.
I agree that it was invented prior to this book, and then you agree,
and it was just around for 1600 years, and then even with Jesus' teachings,
slave trade, and then you agree, finally, that Exodus mandates the death penalty for anyone that does. You have simply proven that the Bible doesn't promote slavery, bro. That's what that proves logically. I know that that's a problem for you, but that's what it proves. And then when it's
not a problem. I don't have any allegiance
every one of those premises
to the Bible. You, however, do. I'm able to look at things like the Bhagavad Gita or the Quran, read these things, and to me, it's like they're quaint mythologies. Same thing with the Bible; it is a quaint mythology. When I read, your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. I'm like, okay, it's arguing in favor of slavery. That makes sense. It's an ancient time. People had used this as an argument for a long time. There was a lot of white supremacy that existed, and the white supremacy also used the Bible. From them you may buy slaves. And I bring up white slavers and gave you direct quotes from the books of white slavers where they specifically use the Bible in and of itself to justify slavery. You say
you can't
that's not the
grant
case.
something and then smuggle it back in like you didn't grant it. You already
I
granted
did.
that there's a difference
I've provided
between
all of it. You
promoting
just
and
haven't. You haven't
regulating.
rebutted
And then
any
you
of
gave
it.
me a regulation and said
You
it was
haven't
promotion.
rebutted any of it.
Huh?
You haven't rebutted any of it. You
This
just
is
brought
the
up
rebuttal.
other verses and said, well, what about these other verses? Fine,
No, I'm telling you,
great. There's a lot of
continuity in
contradictions in the
Christianity that
Bible.
ends with the
I
abolition
acknowledge
of
that there's
slavery that you
contradictions
granted
in the
from
Bible. Despite that fact, it was still used to promote slavery for
That's
about
not
1600
promoting, it's
years
regulating.
after
You
Jesus
granted
Christ's
there's a
death.
difference. You just read a regulation. You may go to
It's not a
this,
regulation.
neighboring
It's literally
place
telling
and
you what to
that's
do.
a regulation.
It's not regulating the ownership. It's saying you can go out there and buy some slaves.
From your neighboring, it's not saying just that. There's an entire regulation. You
Yeah,
read
there's
it out.
actually an
From
entire
it tells you
chapter
what to do
that
with
tells you
them,
how to
where
how to
you can
treat
buy
slaves,
them from.
what to do
That's
with
a
slaves.
regulation, my man. And you granted there's a difference. That's why I'm telling you that the line of logic does follow and does rebut what you're saying. Because if you go through each thing that you granted, you end up with the Bible not promoting slavery. So you can't grant each one of them and be like, oh, I don't understand what you're saying. You do understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the first thing that you granted was the difference between regulation and promotion. And then you haven't refuted anything I say. How do you refute the things that Jesus says in Luke 14, or the golden rule of Christianity, or Paul's letter to Philemon?
None
where
of
he
those
says, "Oh, pay
explicitly
for
talk
it.
about
Don't
slavery.
enslave this person. I will pay
None of-
out of my own pocket."
None of
And
those
he's just talking
explicitly talk
Old
about the
Testament
abolition of slavery.
regulations
Not a single
the
one.
entire time. The entire fucking time.
None of those
Old
talk about
Testament
the abolition of
regulations, like it's
slavery. Not a single
promotion.
one. Not a single one of those. Does it talk about that?
Not a single one of what?
I agree with you, though, that in the 1800s, there were people that ad hoc reasoned abolition of slavery by using those verses. I agree with that. But the,
So how is it
the
not
Bible
ad hoc
verses
using
themselves
those
do not
verses
say
to
that.
quit
They don't
for-
say that.
for slavery?
But it's pretty clear and
How is it
explicit
not
about
ad hoc
slavery
when
throughout the
you use
Bible
those
and
verses
God
for
himself
slavery?
saying it. So, I mean, you could just kind of, I don't know, I guess we could agree to disagree. I mean, we didn't even bring up, for example, like the fact that Noah decreeing that his son Ham and his descendants shall be slaves in Genesis 9:18 to 27. Is it the punishment for Ham's crime of seeing his father
be.
naked? Was that not the part where he said that you can have slaves there? Or do we refer to
Again,
what
they're
are we doing?
regulating an ancient society that already had slaves,
Which
I don't know
promotes
why you can't
slavery.
make this distinction when you granted that you can.
If
make
you're
this
saying that it
distinction.
is there in the ancient society and it does not express the abolition of slavery, that would mean it is promoting slavery.
It doesn't mean that. They're not.
It's pretty obvious.
So one last question, and then we could go to the closing. If you're, I think I might have even asked you this earlier. Like if you are, let's say you're a completely innocent man, right? This is the same exact logic, and you are wrongfully imprisoned. It's a terrible thing that happened to you, and I tell you, listen to the guards. Don't fight the guards. Listen to them. And I give you regulations on what to do. Am I promoting you being wrongfully imprisoned, or am I just trying to help you?
You're promoting me to listen to the guards.
That's the same thing as saying, listen to your slaveholder. Like you're wrongfully imprisoned. Your freedom has been taken away. In this scenario, you're wrongfully imprisoned. Wrongfully in this scenario. So I'm saying I'm not promoting that by giving you advice on how to stay alive. That's not promotion. That's you're in a really bad situation, and I'm giving you instructions on how to get out of it. That's what that is. So again, you've already granted that there's a difference between regulation and promotion. But every time you bring up a regulation, you cite it as a promotion every time. So I don't think that's a good faith way to debate.
I all I did was ask you for a failure condition and I provided it, but okay.
Yeah, and you also granted that there are cases where there could be I could purchase a slave and that doesn't proliferate more slaves. You granted that too. That there could be a supply, no supply even though there's a demand. You granted that. So you keep granting all these positions and then walking it back with your own arguments. You don't even understand
walk it back.
what you're
It's
granting.
all the same argument.
You don't understand what you're actually granting, though. You
I know what I'm granting. I understand
the argument because you keep bringing it up after you already granted it. Like these are clearly regulations.
Yeah, two
You
things can
do
be
this
correct at
thing,
the same time.
You can't do this thing.
Yep.
You can do this. You can go to the neighboring. That's a regulation. That's not go do this thing, proliferate it, fill the land with more slaves, but go next door, capture them, sell them on an open market. It never says anything like that. Nothing. All it does is give you regulations for something that already existed. It regulates an ancient practice that was already there. That's all it does. And there's no instance where it's setting up a slave trade or starting one for the first. It already existed, and they're regulating it, which you granted also.
All right. So that is going to wrap up the open floor. All right. Excellent back and forth exchange from both sides. We're now going to enter into the final phase of the debate, the closing statements. Quick reminder to everybody in the live chat, the Q&A is there for you to put your questions in. So if you got some questions for either debater, make sure you drop them in now. But remember, the Super Chats, PayPal, Cash App questions, they will take priority. So if they fill up the whole 30 minutes, we may not get to all of those ones. So if there's something you really want answered, send it through one of those priority options and we'll make sure it gets asked. With that being said, we're going to move into closing. Each debater gets 5 minutes to make their final case. We're going to start with handing it over to First Amender. Whenever you're ready for your closing statement, go ahead and I'll start the timer up with your voice.
All right. Well, I would say at the end of this debate, I think that the disagreement comes down to like a simple question. What does it mean to promote something? Now, I'm not claiming that the Bible invented slavery, nor am I claiming that every form of biblical slavery was identical to American chattel slavery. My claim is pretty narrow and it's pretty consistent with the position is the Bible does permit, regulate, or legitimizes slavery. So if a government says something along the lines of you may purchase cocaine, it does not need to say that I encourage you to buy cocaine for the law to facilitate its proliferation. Likewise, when the Bible says that you can acquire a slave from foreign nations and treat those slaves as inheritable property, it is creating, in fact, a legal framework that allows slavery to continue. You do not need an explicit command that says go enslave people for permission and regulation to promote that institution. So pointing out that Christians later use the Bible to oppose slavery doesn't actually erase any of the passages that permitted it. The existence of abolitionist interpretations proves that the Bible can be interpreted against slavery, but it doesn't prove that the Bible itself consistently condemns slavery. So the challenge is simple: is if you believe that the Bible does not promote slavery, then explain a text that actually permits people to acquire, own, and inherit human beings as property, does not, by definition, promote, as what we established, contribute to the continuation and legitimacy of slavery. That was the claim that I came here to defend, and sadly it was not refuted. And I see the rest of my time.
All right. Thank you for that closing statement. And with that, we'll hand the mic back over to Andrew. Andrew, whenever you're ready for your closing statement, I'll start the timer up with your voice.
Sure. I'm sure everybody noticed he wouldn't answer or engage with any of my questions until forced at the end by the moderator. Yeah, you're laughing, but you wouldn't the entire time until forced by the moderator to do so. And still, when doing that, use all the things that he already granted and then pretended like he didn't grant them and smuggled them back into his arguments. We can go back and watch you grant each one. You just can't follow your own logic that it doesn't actually promote slavery. And you said that I didn't cite any places where it said not to do it, except Paul specifically tells them I did cite Philemon, as where Paul specifically says, don't do this. And he even offers to pay for it and says, this isn't, you need to treat them as brothers in Christ, not slaves. And then Jesus says, I came to free the slaves, free the oppressed. So what you're saying, that there's not, and you did say in your closing that there wasn't an explicit command to purchase slaves. You said that just now. So because there isn't using you can't turn an is into an ought. The Bible is saying this is the way that it is, and this is what you can do under that situation. It doesn't mean you ought do that thing. There's lots of things that exist that you can do, that we can give you regulations that doesn't mean you should do those things or promote the proliferation of those things in any way. So because of that, he's not showing us. He even just admitted in his closing, there is not one explicit command to promote slavery in the Bible. So that's it.
All right. Thank you for that closing statement. So that's going to conclude the closing statements from both sides. And again, let me talk to the audience real quick. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, make sure you like the stream, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the debates we host here on Swords of Reason. We run all kinds of matchups, political debates, cultural, social issues, even video games get debated over here. Anything where there's a conversation worth clashing over, we bring it into the arena. And also, don't forget to go subscribe to tonight's debaters as well. Their links are in the description. Make sure you guys go show them support for stepping into the arena and sharpening their arguments tonight. So before I start the timer for the chat Q&A, I usually like to ask a question or two to each debater based off things I heard, something I want clarified, maybe a point I think deserves another pass. And then once we answer those, we'll begin the official 30-minute Q&A. So for my first question, I'll start on the affirmative side. So my first question is it was kind of based off a question you asked Andrew earlier, was basically like, what would the Bible have to say differently for you to conclude that it just tolerated and regulated an existing institution rather than promoted it?
It would have to say that we would want to abolish slavery. And also historically, I would have to see like a direct, large effort. Where in order to abolish slavery, but we observe 1600 years of further slavery, even after Jesus's teachings. It was a tall order.
All right. And then did you have anything you wanted to say to that, Andrew?
Yeah, that was my whole point. That's exactly what we did see. So Jesus specifically tells us that he's going to free the oppressed, and then we see the oppressed freed. And he's like, I don't know, I'd have to see them freed. Well, that's exactly what you saw, and they cited the Bible for that thing. That would be my response. All
right. And then, so then another question I had here for you, Amender, is if explicitly, like, if permitting it is counting as promoting that institution, would you be like committed to saying like the legalization of like cigarettes and alcohol would also be promoting those things?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. And did you have anything you wanted to say to that, Andrew?
They literally have a Surgeon General's warning on them that says, don't buy this, it's going to give you cancer. How is that a promotion? Like, something can be legal, and also there could be a huge warning not to do this thing.
That would not be a promotion.
Well, then you're wrong on what you just said. You just
no,
answered his
it's
question.
not.
What was your question, Speak, that you asked him?
It was based off like if permitting and regulating is like counts as promoting that institution. I was asking, would you be committing to saying that like the government legalizing alcohol and cigarettes is also promoting it? And he said yes.
And you said yes. And then I pointed out that there's a Surgeon General's warning on it. And you said, well, then it's not promoting. That's what I mean. You can't follow
the Surgeon General's warning is not promoting. It's telling you not to smoke. But the legalization does promote that cigarette. If it were illegal, it would be explicitly not promoting that. It not be promoting cigarettes.
Right. So what you just answered to him was incorrect. They only put the Surgeon General's warning because the government tells them they have to. So the government is not a black and white dichotomy, but you have to put this warning on it, right?
If it were illegal, there would be less people smoking, but
you haven't demonstrated.
You have That does happens all the
You
time.
haven't demonstrated it.
Okay.
You can laugh, but you haven't demonstrated that. Actually, we proved that you granted that
Gotcha.
less of a supply. There could be no supply, even though.
Well, I
there's
guess you
demand.
win the debate then, right?
Okay, you can't follow your own logic, dude. What do you want me to do? It's not my fault.
No, I pointed it out. You're just too not good at thinking. I don't know.
Okay.
All right. So then, my first question for your side, Andrew, is it's based on the verse we seem to talk about a lot during this debate. So where God explicitly like authorizes like and allows people to acquire humans, identifies whom they can acquire, all of that was in the verse. But what's the principled basis to call that just regulation rather than a positive institutional authorization?
Yeah, because regulating something again doesn't necessarily mean that you're promoting it. It could be the case, but in this case, it isn't. It's possible that you can put like the two things are not mutually exclusive, right? So these are just regulations of an ancient and archaic practice that existed in the Near East ancient world that the Bible regulated for the first time. So you know who said that? Charlie Kirk. Like they've had this exact debate thousands of times. First Amender, you're not the first to make these arguments. That's why I bring that up. You can laugh, but Charlie did say that. He's had this debate. Thousands of people have had this debate. You're not presenting anything
Why
new.
would I respect Charlie Kirk at all? The guy literally said that he wanted to abolish the Civil Rights Act. That's so funny. You bring up Charlie Kirk. That's so cringy. Oh my God.
I think you might be the only one that feels that way. I've never heard him say that.
We
but
are
this isn't a
Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
We carry the flame.
So my second question for you, Andrew, is so basically it's kind of almost what Amanda asked of you earlier, but what would the text actually have to say for you to say like, yeah, that's promoting slavery? Like what would be like the minimum textual standard?
Well, it would have to say you have to go out and start a slave trade, because then it wouldn't be regulating an existing practice, right? It would be promoting this practice. Like even if it existed other places and they said, go out and start the slave trade, sell slaves, do this, capture. If that's what it said, then it would be promoting slavery. But that's not what it's giving you guidelines on how to operate in a world that already has slavery. That's what he's missing. That's the point. And I tried to take him through. He granted that slavery existed long before Moses or the Bible. But that's what it would have to do to be a promotion of that thing, because it already exists. So if it already exists and we're just talking about what is, not what ought, right? That's the difference.
All right. And did you have anything you wanted to say to that, First Amender?
Yeah, I mean, I provided literally that. But I mean, hell, I was just pulling up a section here by that Jesus said specifically regarding saying to his servants, slaves, should know their place and to not expect thanks for the duties that they are required to perform. This is Luke 17:7-10.
That's servants.
I mean, yes, sorry. Fair enough.
Okay, he's telling you do your job. So what?
Yeah.
Do your job the right way.
Doesn't even address like, slaves obey earthly masters just as you'd obey Christ. Doesn't
I already
address
gave you the example
Colossians.
for that. If you get wrongfully
obey your
arrested,
earthly
you obey the
masters.
guards, even though it's wrong. You should obey them because you don't want to get your.
But it does
ass
say
kicked.
that you should be fair.
It doesn't
to
mean
your
you
slaves,
ought get
right?
arrested,
which would tacitly
Again,
endorse the
dumb logic.
existence of slaves and masters. But
Hume's
that's beside the point.
fallacy the entire time and presentism. That's all we saw.
It's not presentism. It's what's in the Bible.
No, I said that's all we saw was Hume's is-ought fallacy and
Except I bring up
presentism
literal
this
quotes in
entire
the Bible
debate.
that
And you're
shows
doing it
exactly
right
that.
now.
Okay.
All right. So we'll start up the timer here for the official Q&A. So we'll start with the super chats we came in. If you guys said some dumb shit, I'll give you a salute, but I'm probably not gonna read it. Just saying, guys. I'm not reading no crazy shit. Just telling you. I know you guys try to get me, but you won't. All right, let's get those up. Tiny in the back's gonna help us in a minute here. All right, so we got a question from Wrath of Reason says, so First Amendment, does the law then promote the crime? A law against murder promotes murder and makes more people want to murder. By your logic, this would be true.
Give me a second. Hold on. Let me just make this a little bigger. You got to give me a second. I apologize.
Yeah, no problem.
I want to have it in frame, I guess, the questions. Okay, so First Amendment, does law then promote the crime? No, it is the presence of law that tries to prevent crime and creates laws and punishments and restitution for the creation of crime. So the answer is no to that. A law against murder promotes murder and makes more people want to murder. No, because it's literally saying to not do that. The law that I presented was saying you may buy slaves. So it's the exact opposite. By your logic, this would be true. No, you just, I don't know, have a hard time reading. I don't know. I feel like I presented my argument just fine there. Anyway.
All right. And did you have anything you wanted to say to that, Andrew?
No, sorry. I was answering another message.
Yeah, no.
That was for him.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that was for him. Put that one down there, Tiny. Before you bring up the next one, we got a Cash App for a question. If we ought infer promotion of slavery by First's logic, then we must infer outlaw of it through the explicit language Andrew provided. Andrew W., First Amender. I don't even know. Where's the headband of a deceptive inversion? I don't know what this is.
So
thanks for
trans promotion.
Oh, you got the question up. Okay. I'm reading it from over here. You got the question
if
up.
we ought infer promotion of slavery by First's logic, then we must infer outlaw of it through the explicit language Andrew provided. Andrew W., First Amender, where's the headband? Okay, this is not even a question. It's just, I'll be honest, like anytime you go on any like right-wing podcast or debate, it's always, you can present as much evidence, logic, but the reality is that it's basically just an echo chamber. There is no amount of logic that you will present. I am of the belief that if I showed
I've seen
up
some people in there saying you were wrecking him, so I don't know
hey,
if it's an echo chamber.
How about that? That's pretty good.
Just
Thank you.
saying.
Appreciate that.
I've seen
Appreciate
people
that.
back and forth. He's wrecking him. You're wrecking him. It's back and
I
forth.
appreciate
There's
that.
a lot of different people in here, bro.
Okay, appreciate that. Appreciate that. Maybe I should be nicer. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah, sometimes you don't see them. But yeah, he's got people
okay,
saying.
how about this? I'll say it this way.
He's wrecking you.
There's
You
a
got
group of people
saying you're wrecking him.
There's a group of people that I believe that no matter what somebody says, whatever team that person is on, they're going to promote them no matter what. And I'm of the opinion that, I mean, I've come up with sound logic. It all follows direct biblical quotes. All of it is, can be followed and understood pretty easily. And an opponent could then take a giant shit on the plate and then present it for everybody. And they'd be like, wow, that was very brave. You won the debate. And they would clap.
Don't do that, Andrew.
I'm not doing that.
All right,
I believe it.
Our
I
next
do.
question up. What's our next question there? Joseph says, what if I went and bought a bunch of slaves and set them free? Am I then proliferating the market?
Maybe creating the induced demand, as in it would, in theory, increase prices, which would increase the amount of supply. They would just get more slaves. But it would be a good thing that you would be, removing them of their servitude.
So can I respond to that also? That's
Yeah.
the same logic that I was trying to point out, where you don't know if there's more slaves to purchase. That's the same. Like, it doesn't necessarily like, you don't know if they're going to purchase the slaves and free them. You make all types of assumptions that it's going to proliferate slavery without demonstrating actually that it will proliferate slavery.
By buying, you create a demand.
But you just read the question. There's all types of scenarios where it doesn't actually proliferate slavery.
All right. Next question there, Tiny. You don't see no more questions? I think I seen right here. So if the Bible did promote slavery like he said, then would you still support Democrats because they once supported slavery and the time frame is less? Also, people choosing sin isn't saying the Bible allows it.
Okay. This is actually a great argument, because you can actually look at the what was it called? It was called the Southern Strategy. You can Google this yourself. But basically, there was a huge shift as a result of the Watergate scandal. It was seen that the Republican Party was basically done, and that there needed to be a new strategy in order to get new voters. And so what they actually did is that Republicans appealed to racist Jim Crow laws of the South to get them to vote Republican. And so there was a party shift in this, but so the Dixiecrats were gone as a result of the Southern Strategy. You can Google this. It is there. It does exist. Feel free to Google that the Southern Strategy as to why that party shift occurred. But yes, I would agree with you. If we were there back then under Democrats, I would be staunchly against Democrats. I would be in favor of the Republicans, which were in favor of abolition.
All right. And did you have anything you wanted to say there, Andrew?
No, I think that was a great question, and I understand the logic that you're trying to point out.
All right. And then, so I think that's it for the super chat questions. So let me go over here to the Q&A chat. I know I've seen a few in there. So we got this one here. From Teriak in the chat. I guess it's kind of like the question I asked, but you could answer again. The government regulates smoking. Does this mean the government promotes or encourages smoking?
Sorry.
This is the kind of question that I pointed out the entire
My apologies.
That he refused to engage with.
My apologies. My cat, she was requesting attention. Give me a second. I have to copy. I've got a question that they want to ask him as well when you're done. Question for First Amender. The government regulates smoking. Does this mean the government promotes or encourages smoking? No, because they're telling you to not smoke with the regulations and rules. When they're saying you may buy slaves, that is a positive affirmation for purchase of slaves.
But you may buy cigarettes, right?
Yeah, that would be promoting it.
What? You just said it wasn't promoting it. You just said that wasn't promoting slaves.
Let me try again,
cigarettes.
Right? There can be regulations to deter the smoking, but also promote of buying it as well. Do you understand how that works?
I think maybe.
Why is this hard for you to understand?
You should go back and watch it again. You just contradicted yourself.
I didn't.
You can't follow for 5 seconds. You literally can't follow for 5 seconds. Go ahead. Next question.
Holy crap.
Okay, you'll see when you run it back.
Next one comes in from well, this is kind of a statement, but rather than cherry picking individual biblical excerpts, if we consider all of the biblical laws regarding slavery in total, is God saying people should be moved towards slavery or away from it?
I would say that it argues in favor towards slavery. That's why it took 1,600 years to abolish it.
My turn?
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
I would respond to that by saying, but it still abolished it. Like the timeline that it took is irrelevant. It still did that thing and therefore doesn't promote the opposite. If you knew lot P, not P, like there's no way. So it can't also have taken 1500 years to abolish it, thus granting that it did abolish it and also promote slavery. That doesn't follow.
If I borrowed $10,000 from you and said that I would pay it back in 1600 years, do you think that I'd be paying you back?
Well, I'd be dead. So it's a terrible analogy.
Yeah, no shit, you'd be dead. So would I.
Right. But the practice of
so all the slaves who
doesn't
lived and
die like
died
people do.
for thousands of years. Oh man. Okay.
It's a red herring.
It's not.
Okay.
It's very related.
Question for First Amender. Another one comes from Teriak. And that one was from Sweatosaurus Rex, by the way. Sorry, I didn't say your name there earlier. But this one coming in from Teriak. Question for First Amender. If the Bible promotes slavery, why did Protestants, American and Britain, abolish it?
Yes, so I agree that there were abolitionists that ad hoc reasoned into the Bible saying that like all men are created equal and all that good flowery stuff. I agree with that. That's fine. This doesn't revoke the 1600 years of promotion of slavery. And so I can acknowledge both of those.
I would say that it does actually revoke the 1600 years in which it was just regulating the slavery to get to its end goal of not having any slavery, which would be the actual thing that it was promoting. Can't be both. It can't also have, you can't grant that the abolitionists cited Christianity and it took 1600 years to get rid of it, but also it promoted it. That doesn't follow.
All right. Next one I have here is, sorry, this one comes from Polly Shortcuts. Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers. How was he able to rise to a respected and powerful person as a slave?
Okay, Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers. How was he able to rise to a respected and powerful person as a slave? I don't know. The story says it. Like, I don't know if Joseph actually existed. Like, it's a.
No, I think that, thank you. That was Paulie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with the question. Yeah, he's not going to be able to answer it, though. He's not going to engage with that.
And then we got Tim, the Real Incanter, says, the lack of an explicit abolition of something does not infer its promotion. It doesn't logically follow. Please explain how you make that logical leap.
Well, I didn't show the lack of an explicit abolition of something. What I did is I showed verses that directly promote it. So that logically does follow. And I explained how I made it that logical leap. And on top of it, even Andrew acknowledged that that at least it was better than murdering them. So it does, even by Andrew's light. He just made a grave error very early in, but he did say that.
Okay, I'll respond. Saying one thing is better than the other is not promoting it. Simple. Those two things are not the same thing, or they would be the same thing. Like they're different. Promoting something, like, again, he's making the same incorrect assertion that regulation is promotion that he's been making the entire night.
All right. We got a super chat here from Joseph. Thank you, Joseph. If Christianity's end goal was to end slavery, and it takes a while to do so, does that mean that was never their goal? Did it fail even if it occurred? I think that was for you, Amanda.
Me? If Christianity's end goal was to end, no, that would be a question for him, Andrew.
No,
I don't believe
because
Christianity's
if
end
you
goal was to
follow-
end slavery. It clearly was there to maintain slavery. And it takes a while to do so. Yeah, it did take a very long 1,600 years. Does it mean that it was never their goal? Yes, it would mean it is never their goal because it took 1,600 years for them to do it. Did it fail even if it occurred? Yes, it failed for 1,600 years. And then abolitionists undid it.
So again, granting, you see this in the same sentence, you grant and then take it back. That yes, it took
there's a lot of
1,600
contradictions
years
in the
for them
Bible.
to
I don't have a
abolish it,
problem with
right?
contradictions
It took
existing in the
1,600
Bible.
years. That means that they did.
Yeah, I don't have a
abolish it.
problem with contradictions existing in the Bible. I'm aware of contradictions that exist
I'm
in the
talking about
Bible.
your
this is one of
contradiction
many
mid-sentence.
contradictions
Can't
in the
even have
Bible.
one
No, it's
sentence
a
that doesn't
biblical
contradict
contradiction. It's true. It does.
Okay.
All right. Next one comes in here from. Oh, we got another super chat from Darth Stevo. Says, "Thank you, Darth." Says, "Is there no slavery because it's illegal?"
Is there no slavery because
Another
it is
good
illegal? To be fair, there's actually codified slavery even in the United States. It's through the prison system. But if I act as if
Force them to commit crime.
yes, it would be effectively illegal to have slaves. Whereas if you say you can go to a foreign nation, like, I don't know, Mexico, and you can buy slaves, then that would be the promotion of it.
All right. And then we got another one from, this one's from Josh in the chat. If the city of Seattle creates a drug-free zone and says, if you're going to use drugs, use them in these designated locations, are they promoting drug use?
Creates a drug-free zone and says if you're going to use drugs, use them as these. Yes, they are promoting drug use. And in fact, the effects of doing that has actually proliferated drug use. So I'm not in favor of that. I'm in favor of evidence-based approach, but this is, I guess, a different question or topic, I guess.
I'm getting tired of saying it, but he doesn't understand the difference of a regulation and a promotion. That's a regulation. That's not a promotion. If Seattle creates a drug-free zone, they're regulating
why does it increase
where you
drug
can
use?
use drugs, right?
Then why does it increase drug use?
Regulating a specific area.
Then why
that
does
you
it increase drug
drugs
use?
in? That's not a promotion. Just like the
Then why
cigarette
does it increase
Surgeon
drug
General's
use?
warning. What if they have a Surgeon General's
Why
warning on the
does
drugs?
it
Then are they
increase
not
drug use?
promoting it? What if the
You
drugs
can't
have a
answer.
Surgeon General's warning? By your own logic, then they're not.
Oh my
promoting it.
God.
What do you mean? Oh my God, that's your fucking logic, dude.
Damn.
All right. Then we got another one. This one comes in from this one's from Yield to Me. First Amender, if you agree people may vote for Trump, are you promoting people voting for Trump?
Yes, if somebody says you may vote for Trump, then yeah.
Can I respond? No, it's just an objective statement about reality. That's what I mean. You can't turn an is into an ought. You can't do that. You can't just say because you can vote for Trump, you may vote for Trump, that you may do that. That doesn't mean that I'm promoting it. I'm just telling you what is. You may go next door and buy slaves. That doesn't mean I'm promoting it. I'm just telling you what is. Can't get an ought from an is.
If someone said, never mind, actually. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I would bet that you're not. Because you can't get an ought from an is. And that they're
No,
describing it.
Okay. It's fine. Never mind.
Like you may vote for whoever you want. There's no endorsement there.
We got another one here from the Vigilante TV. Said, Andrew, you said in your definition that proliferation would show promotion. In your opening, you also mentioned the fact slavery can be done to pay off debts. Is this not proliferation?
I don't know. It depends. I also said in my opening that they free the slaves every 7 years, and then every 50 years they free them again and give back all their property. So who knows if it's being proliferated or not? Like you would have to know how many are actually being freed also, and how many are being taken. So that's the only way that I would know if it's actual proliferation. And like a slight proliferation doesn't mean promotion. It could just be the natural cause of the economy. So yeah, if something's seriously proliferated by something that's put in the book, then that can be considered promotion. But that's not what's happening. He never demonstrated that that's what's happening. Never. Yeah, exactly. I think you're muted.
Is May the same as ought?
I was muted. Thank you. Go ahead. You can go ahead, Mender.
No, is or not oughts. I understand that. Saying like if somebody is telling you can do this thing, like, hey, you can go out and buy candy, then yeah, it would be promoting that thing.
You just said you know the difference between it is and an ought. You
I
don't,
do.
obviously. You just said you know the difference between it is and an ought, then gave an is and said, oh yeah, you'd be promoting
specifically in regards to laws, but yeah, it is. It's promoting it. Because if they were abolishing it, they would say, hey, we're abolishing slavery, but they're not doing that. They're saying, hey, you can go out and buy slaves from foreigners. As in, I'm okay with you doing this thing.
As in, okay. Again, you just did just because you don't outlaw something also doesn't mean that you're promoting it. It's the same. Like you can not abolish something immediately because this is a practice that already exists, and you're not trying to destroy, have more bloodshed than needed, and you can regulate the policy without it being a promotion. So you cannot abolish something, regulate it, and also it not be a promotion, which is exactly what happened.
All right. And then let me see.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay, if you wanted to ask your questions, you can go ahead.
So there was a question for Andrew. The working man asked, why can't you accept that the Bible promotes slavery at times, but ultimately argues to abolish it?
Because you can't be two things at once, right? And again, he never addressed the fact that there's a new covenant. Almost all of those regulations that he's discussing are Old Testament regulations of slavery from a very ancient world. So no, if this book then has a new covenant that says that slavery is not okay, if Paul specifically writes to Philemon and says, free your slave, I'll pay for it, this is the right thing to do under our new covenant, then it wouldn't be promoting that thing. Not to mention the regulations itself aren't promotion, which we've proved over and over and over. And he's granted and then forgot he granted and then granted again and then forgot again like 50 times.
Base God Flashy asks, I said slavery is not the lesser of two evils. That is a false dichotomy. On whose authority are there only choices to kill them or enslave them? Just leave them alone.
Well, this was in reference to when they were sieging a neighboring village or city. So in that case, if you're laying, I think that's what he's referring
from foreigners, you may buy slaves. It's not referring to a siege. That was a separate verse that is not related.
This is specifically
a verse that Israelites are to follow among foreigners around them. It is not that.
Right. Well, that was closer to the reason I was saying is that verse is closer to an ought. It's still not an ought than the one you're citing, which is just telling you what you may do under the current economy that already exists at that time.
Wow, I don't know. Working Man just donated another $1.99 USD stating, regulating something means to promote it by allowing it.
Was that for me? Sorry, I was reading.
That was for you, yeah.
Chat. Can you
regulating something means to promote it by allowing it.
Okay. If I regulate hazardous waste, am I promoting hazardous waste?
Wow,
I'm showing you examples.
That's like arguing that you may not.
Regulation isn't.
But this one is specifically saying you can, not you may not buy from foreigners. That would be akin to arguing your toxic waste chemical idea, because there are laws that say you may not, which explicitly does not promote, but it would specifically avoid you from doing a specific behavior with toxic waste. But that is not what that is saying. It's saying you may buy from foreigners slaves.
I'm sure
which
it
would
says
mean
what
a
you may do with
promotion
your
of
toxic
that.
waste. I'm sure it does say what you may do with your toxic waste. That doesn't mean you're promoting it. You may
Yeah,
do
you're promoting
whatever the
them
fuck
doing
you want.
something
It
with a
doesn't mean I'm
toxic waste.
promoting it.
Yes. Yes.
No, it
If they're
doesn't
saying
promote it.
you may
No.
hold on. If you're saying wait, you're
Describing
getting it.
something that
If you're
already
saying
exists.
hold on, if you're saying you may throw out the toxic chemicals in this designated toxic chemical throw out place, you are promoting to throw out the chemicals in a safe place.
Yeah, but you're not promoting that thing. You're just telling somebody how. You're not promoting that
clown.
thing. You're giving regulations for how to carry for
I
what
tried
to
working,
do with
man.
that thing. Do you
I tried
understand the
working, man. I
difference?
tried.
This is what you do with this thing.
He's
Is not the
he
thing
was
that you
almost
ought to do
there and
this
then he
thing.
lost all of it.
Dude. I'm not going to try to explain this to you. He doesn't know the difference between it is and an ought. He doesn't know the difference between
I do
regulation
know the
and a
difference
promotion.
between it
He
is and
doesn't
an
know the
ought.
difference between describing what already exists and promoting something. Seriously, these are important distinctions. Like you should take some time to like formulate.
It's also
this
an
better.
ought, by the way. Saying from them you may buy slaves. That's an ought. That's an
No,
ought.
it's a you may do this thing. Like you
That's
can't.
an ought.
That's what you may vote for Donald Trump. That was the example. You can't even accept the example you granted 5 minutes ago.
Cognitive dissonance
5
right
minutes
now.
ago.
We got a
Granted,
$5.
that saying you may vote for Donald Trump is not an ought. So how is it an ought for this one?
Yeah.
You have to be consistent with your logic. You already granted that.
And Dr. Dickhead for $5 says, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. Exodus 21.
Yeah, we brought this up, and that's
Yeah.
true that like if you specifically steal, but let's say, for example, if a foreigner steals another foreigner and then they decide to sell the foreigner to an Israelite, then they can in fact do that. That would not put them to death. In fact, you may do exactly that as per what God said. And we've already addressed this, and name checks out, by the way.
To it also, because it's an important distinction. Like you can't. That's why I kept asking you, where did the slaves come from? Because you can't go out and steal them specifically as per that Exodus verse. So that's why it is describing what you can do from a system that already exists.
Yeah.
They're just regulating
in
how to
fact
operate
endorses
in
slavery.
that system.
Yeah.
If they said, no, you can go steal that person, don't worry about it, go steal another human being and bring them into slavery, then that might be closer to, it still wouldn't be promotion. They're still just telling you what you may do, but it would be closer than where you are at.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Since we have a couple minutes there, and Mender got some questions from his chat, I see a question comes in from Andrew's side from Kung Fu Joe. Says, First Amenders, Catholics and Orthodox Christians reject sola scriptura as heresy. So why should they believe your interpretation of Scripture?
I mean, it's not just my interpretation. It was the roughly 1,600 years of interpretation resulting in the codification of slavery. By the way, slavery still exists even to this day, whether you use the Quran or if you even use the permission of slavery regarding the prison system in the United States. Slavery still exists. And so, I mean, I would argue in favor of abolition of slavery entirely and throw out the fucking Bible because I think it's a morally abhorrent.
Okay, I'll respond also. Thank you, Kung Fu. That's a great question and a great point. I don't think he actually understands what you're saying. What he's saying is that sola scriptura means that you only need scripture to interpret
yes, I
scripture,
understand.
right? Which is what you're doing. But what you actually have to do, because Catholics and
It's not
Orthodox
what I'm doing.
don't
It's
believe in
1,600 years of history did.
because Catholics and Orthodox don't believe in sola scriptura, which he's right, I'm a Catholic, you have to look to the authority of the church to actually say what they mean by the passage. And no church authority says that they're promoting slavery.
I'm sorry
None.
that you're a Catholic.
So actually your interpretation is completely wrong of the scripture. You have to look to the church leaders as to what that scripture means.
I'm sorry that you're a Catholic.
Okay.
Jeremy comes in for $5, says, First Amender, you encounter a fork in the road. You may go left or you may go right. Which am I promoting? Or by your logic, am I promoting both?
Both, I would say. You're promoting driving, the act of driving. Yeah.
Another great question, just showing he's being bad faith. He knows what you're saying. You can't promote
directly the
both
question.
things. Huh?
I answered the question directly, even using one of his options. What do you mean bad faith?
Yeah, but
I
that's
answered
not
the
what he wasn't
question.
asking if you were promoting
Just because you
driving.
don't
You're
like the
slippery
answer doesn't
motherfucker.
mean I'm
He's
answering in
asking
bad
if you're
faith. I am
promoting
answering
going
it in
left
good
or
faith.
right. That's what he's asking.
Maybe
Am I
to help
promoting
us-
going left or right.
It
Not
says
am I
here,
promoting
or
driving.
by
You're
your
Maybe to
logic,
help
am I
us-
promoting both? You're promoting driving.
Which
You're
am I
promoting both.
promoting? That's what he's asking.
You're
you.
promoting both
Well,
by
You're trying to
driving.
Just
say
a-
you're promoting driving. No,
Yeah, you're
bro.
promoting driving and you're promoting
that's not
both.
the
Yeah, both
question.
of those can be
Just
true.
to follow
the
up here
question.
quick,
Maybe-
maybe we could maybe
He's
this could
so
help us
dumb.
understand your side here, Mender. So how would you change that sentence? You may go left to you may go right for it to be a regulation rather
I mean,
than
it's just giving you a choice of
a
both.
promotion.
It's just giving you a choice of both.
Yeah, but I'm asking, like, how would we change this sentence to be a regulation rather than a promotion?
You may not go left. You may not go right. You may only go left. Do not go right. You may only go right. You may not go left. Those would be probably regulations, I would say.
All right. And did you have anything there, Andrew?
No, it's the same point over and over. I don't know how many times we have
Okay.
to show him, but he's just bad faith. He won't.
I answered the question
Acknowledge.
exactly as he requested.
You didn't. You may.
I did. You
may
just
go
didn't like
left,
the
you may
answer.
go
I
right.
am
Which
answering in
one
good faith.
am
Though.
I
I'm not here to
promoting?
like play
Which one
mind
is
games
the
with you. I'm just.
question.
I'm,
It's
I'm,
important.
I'm tearing
Which
apart your
one is
logic
being
and then
promoted?
showing it. Yeah,
Which
that's all I'm
one?
doing.
You may vote for
I've already
Biden,
addressed
you may
it.
vote for Trump.
Wait,
Who
is he
am I
asking me
promoting?
to?
Who am I promoting? You
Both.
may vote for Biden. You may vote for
It's
Trump. Who am I
both.
promoting?
It could be both. It's both.
No, who am I
You're promoting
promoting?
voting, the act
Who
of
am I
voting. In
promoting?
reality.
That's the prompt. Promoting by saying you may do this thing. You don't want to answer because it destroys your Leviticus argument.
All right.
Ooh,
Okay.
Flashy Base Scout Flashy just donated $5 USD stating PBS article
All right, last one.
Pope Leo XIV makes historic apology for Vatican's role in legitimizing slavery. Is Pope Leo XIV wrong?
Was that question for me?
Yep.
I'm sorry. They're not pulled up. You got to repeat it.
That's okay.
get a
That's
second,
okay.
check in the chat.
That's fine. That's fine. I have the same. It's fine. PBS article. Pope Leo XIV makes a historic apology for Vatican's role in legitimizing slavery. Is Pope Leo XIV wrong?
I'd have to see the exact quote and analyze it. I don't know. I don't know the quote. I'm not familiar with it, so I don't want to make a comment about a quote I haven't.
Presume it's correct. Presume that Pope Leo XIV specifically made apology for the Vatican's role in legitimizing slavery. Under that hypothetical, is Pope Leo XIV wrong? Would he be wrong?
For what was the exact wordage for doing what to slavery?
Propose a hypothetical. Let's say Pope Leo XIV said the following, stating an apology for the Vatican's role in legitimizing slavery. Under this hypothetical, is Pope Leo XIV wrong?
I mean, legitimizing isn't promoting, so I guess not. Doesn't have anything to do with the prompt. Nothing to do with the prompt. Nothing to do with it. So it's irrelevant. So I'll just
tried.
grant it.
We tried.
All
Flashy.
right,
Good
and
job.
I'll just
Jeremy-
grant it. That's
Jeremy-
not promoting. That's the prompt.
Jeremy snuck one last one in and said, better yet, you are at a reception and they present you a choice of steak or fish meals. Which are they promoting?
Steak and fish meals and eating, buying something. Yes.
All right. All right. So that wraps up our Q&A
Can I
for
ask one more
tonight.
question?
It's
If I
the
say
good
you
kind
may
of
jump
slavery,
off a cliff,
guys.
Okay, one more question. One more question.
If I say you may jump off a cliff, am I promoting it or am I just saying what exists?
Kinda, yeah.
No, I'm just saying you can.
Listen,
you
if somebody
want.
said
I'm not promo-
you
I would-
may
what if I say you may jump
KYS,
off a
right?
cliff, but you
If
shouldn't?
somebody said that, that's a bannable offense. Am I right, Speakeasy? You may.
No, but I'm just saying if no,
Is
I'm
that-
not-
is that
it's
a
hypothetical,
bannable
but
offense?
I'm just saying you could say
I just
you
wanna be
may
clear,
do
right?
so.
Oh, you mean on
You can do
YouTube?
whatever
Yeah,
you
on
want.
shouldn't do
YouTube,
that on
you think?
YouTube.
Promotion. That's not a
Yeah,
promotion.
don't do that on YouTube.
Yeah, if
Saying
you
that
said
may
that
do
on
this
YouTube,
thing.
that would be so. It's like that. That's what I'm saying. Is like if you're saying you may do this, you are in effect promoting it. So
No, I'm just stating reality.
Appreciate
You may
it.
do it. Like I don't give a shit if you do or not. You may do that thing though. It's not a promotion. That's what we're trying to point out.
Gotcha.
All right, that will wrap up the Q&A for tonight. I want to thank you, everyone in the live chat, for all the questions, the engagement, the support. This is what allows me to keep bringing you these debates and the entire Swords of Reason experience week after week. So I appreciate every single one of you. And of course, a huge thank you to our debaters for stepping into the arena tonight and sharpening their ideas in front of all of us. Before we move on, let me check real quick. Are either of you planning to hang out for the open panel tonight?
I'm gonna be having an open panel on my Discord, discord.gg/FIRST Amender. I'll be hanging out in there, and you guys can join in if you want. But that's where I'm going to be.
Problem.
Okay.
I can hang out till for another half hour, 45 minutes. I got like 3 hours total.
All right, awesome. Yeah, no obligation for anyone, no obligation. So, all right, here's what's happening next, everyone. We're going to roll the debate outro song and video. It's going to run for about 4 minutes. Perfect time for everyone. Hit the washroom, grab a drink, stretch your legs, do whatever you need to do before the Chaos and Chill open panel begins. During that outro, I'm going to drop a link in the chat for anyone who wants to join the open panel, test your ideas, continue the conversation on tonight's topic. Anyone is welcome to come hop in. Just come ready, obviously, think, question, debate. If you're coming up to try and troll, bring personal dramas, anything like that, you're just going to get muted and then most likely booted real quick. So go ahead when you're ahead with this idea.
Invite, Speakeasy. I got to get going. You have a great day.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Take care. And
all right, y'all. You know what we're doing? I'm going in the Discord. We'll do it live. I'm going to the Discord, y'all. Hold on. Much better. Yes. That looks good. Okay. Shit. Yeah, we'll do it live. We'll do it live. I'm going. We're doing it live. Come to the recording live, guys. Come to the recording live. 12. After party discussion. Hopefully people will join in. If nobody joins in, I don't care. But if you guys do want to have a conversation, we can. I'm right here. Hey, Bo, bro, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
What did you think of that? What did you?
I thought he was pretty dumb and he was being pretty slippery.
He wouldn't acknowledge literally anything. I couldn't believe that.
Yo, that was hilarious when he said he was a Catholic. As soon as he said he was a Catholic, I went to go grab that article.
I went to his chat. I was fucking debating. I was like, you guys don't know what promote means? And they're saying the same thing. Bro, he had like 70 people in his chat. I'm arguing all of them. And I said, listen, just if you
was it actually 70? Like, or was it like like weirdly not super active? And it was like, I don't know, like five very active people and then like 65 not so active people.
Could have been. It could have been. I was there for like 15 minutes. That's it. I didn't stay for long.
I have a feeling it's botted. I think his stuff, because it's so weird to have 200,000 plus subscribers and then like 1 month gain like 6 million views. And then for whatever reason, the video is gone. Could you imagine like my most viral video, if it had 6 million views, why would you delete that? Right? That's free money.
I don't know. This guy is weird. I mean, he did not want to. I mean, I tried to give him an out with saying like, yeah, it could promote it at times, but ultimately,
I'm listening. I'm just going to go to the bathroom.
It's it wants to abolish. I wanted him because I agree, because I'm a Christian, so I agree that Christianity did a big part in helping abolish slavery, but the prompt was so bad that he had to bite the bullet in order to argue further.
They're regulating, working man. They're regulating.
Yeah, regulating. I mean, bro, just the question, like regulation itself is to allow. So it is the promotion of something. You're not gonna regulate. We don't regulate murder, right? You don't regulate fucking stealing. We don't. We just make it illegal, right? So if slavery was a bad, like what he was arguing, the Bible would have said you should not do slavery, right? But obviously it doesn't. It took a different approach.
When I was watching, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, regulation is just promoting of a certain style or variation of the action, or so, yeah.
Yeah, no, like regular, like he was arguing, saying, "Oh, well, it was better. Like it was better to be a slave than to die, and it was back in the day. So should we change the biblical conversation now that we have so many different things going on? There's no more slavery. What? Because they said, oh, that's the old covenant. We're doing the new covenant. So should there be a new covenant now because of all the things going on in this generation? Or I never understood these people saying, oh, it's the old covenant. It's way before our time. So yeah, but you guys are still using the old covenant when it comes to gays and straights and man and man stuff. So why are you using the old covenant for that, but not for all this slavery stuff?
Very true, very true. And I don't know, it just, to me, it's like, yeah, you could argue exactly what was it? What Working Man said, which is, yeah, it promotes slavery. And then later on, people argued against it and they used biblical verses. I can acknowledge both of those things. Those are not contradictory viewpoints like this fucking idiot was saying. I tried not to call him an idiot, but goddamn, he was dumb.
Yo,
holy
I
shit,
gotta
was he
say,
dumb.
you did amazing, bro. You were calm, collected. You know, I told him, I went in that chat. I said, yo, your boy's getting cooked. You could tell because Amanda had the defeater all along. He had the defeater. That's why he's so calm and your boy's scrambling.
Oh
and
my
they're,
God.
Oh no.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. And then the early implicit arguing of what did he say? This is much better because normally they killed them. I was like, no, dude, ain't no way you just fucked up with that, bro. You just fucked up, bro.
Yeah.
That's why I found it funny when he couldn't really answer my first super chat where I was like, on whose authority are these the only two options? And then like, he didn't have anything to say about that.
God's authority, the Pope.
Which, by the way, if he does say God, then that would be another defeater of his argument, because that would be like saying, oh well, God says that promotion of slavery, it's a good thing.
Absolutely hilarious. I wasn't expecting that to be that stupid. Jesus. God, could you imagine?
I think that.
Sorry, go ahead, Rain.
I was gonna say, I think that the prompt is really good, but I think it would be even stronger if you went with like, the Bible condones or promotes that slavery is morally permissible. That way they can't keep trying to equivocate,
yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. Usually what I like to do is I like to defer to my opponent to come up with a title. And
did he pick that prompt?
They picked the prompt. Oh. Yeah, they picked the prompt. Yeah. They picked that prompt. I didn't do that prompt. And you know what? Honestly, like, I think I learned this from Aaron Ra. Aaron Ra, I was like trying to come up with a good prompt. And then Aaron was like, no, let them pick the prompt. I'm like, let them pick the prompt? And he's like, trust me, you got to let them pick the prompt. Whatever they say is going to be way dumber than whatever the fuck you're trying to come up with. And I was like, no fucking way. And lo and behold, that is exactly what happened. I was like, that's what they want to argue? And then Aaron's like, yeah, I guess they want to argue that. And I was like, shit, man, Aaron was right. And so like, you're sitting there coming up with all this fucking like logical reasoning and trying to figure out how to, what would be a good, discussion to have. And you're coming up with like the pros and the cons, and you're thinking that in their head. That is not what is in their head. What is in their head is their idea. Yeah. They can't imagine outside of their box. That's why they're thinking the way they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron Ross awesome like that.
So whatever they come up with, it's going to just be absolute garbage. And ever since then, I've been deferring to everybody to just come up with their own arguments if they want to argue against me, because it blows my mind, some of the shit they come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So normally when Speakeasy says that people are saying that you're winning on in their chat, that means that's good, right? And normally when I used to watch Speakeasy, whenever it's the negative, like if it's not their Christian ethics stuff, they always shit about that person. But if he's saying that people saying that you wrecked them, then I'm guessing your viewpoint was because they're agreeing with you in a more Christian channel, right? I think I'm thinking that's a Christian channel, right?
That's true.
Like more.
You're right.
Yeah. So
yeah, highly Christian
saying,
channel.
So if people are agreeing with you, then yeah, go ahead. My bad.
Remember, I just put that article I talked about in the chat
please,
here in Discord. You check that out.
Let's pull it up.
Specifically the section Holy See late to condemn slavery, Leo says.
And what I tried to say, he tried to weasel out of it by saying, I don't know if Pope Leo ever said that. I was like, okay, well, let's presume that he said it for the sake of a hypothetical to try to get him to fucking answer the question instead of weaseling away. And we got a little bit of something, but it wasn't much. I was like, man, it just felt like I was messing with a flaccid penis. It just wasn't. I was like, that's it. That's all I get. That's it. Just flopping around. No argument.
God.
The flaccid penis argument. All right, let me take a look here. Let's look at that. Pope Leo XIV makes historic apology for the Vatican's role in legitimizing slavery. Pope Leo XIV made a historic apology on Monday for the Holy See's role in legitimizing slavery and for having failed to condemn it for centuries, calling the Vatican's record a wound in Christian memory. It is. It really is. Past Pope has apologized for Christians' involvement of the transatlantic slave trade, but no Pope has ever publicly acknowledged, much less apologized for the role that past popes played in giving European sovereigns explicit authorities to subjugate and enslave infidels. History's first U.S.-born pope, whose family of history includes both enslaved people and slave owners, delivered the apology in his first encyclical Magnifica Humanitas, Magnificent Humanity, which was released on Monday. Wow. By the way, it is open for anybody can talk. We're just
check out that Holy See section, like the highlight one, which says like Holy See late to condemn slavery.
Holy See late to condemn slavery, Leo says. In his encyclical, Leo recalled that his namesake, Pope Leo XIII, was the first pope to explicitly condemn slavery in 1888, long after many countries had abolished it. Before that, in antiquity and in the Middle Ages, church institutions and even popes, Gregory the Great, had slaves, Kellerman said. In acknowledging the 15th century papal bulls, Leo wrote in his encyclical, already in the early modern period, the Apostolic See of Rome, responding to the requests of sovereigns, intervened several times in order to regulate and legitimize forms of subjugation and, in certain cases, including the enslavement of infidels. Leo said, but that's not promoting it. Flashy. That's not no. That's what he would say. No, yeah. That's making rules for slavery, not promoting it. Hey, if you're going to use the pool, use it between 9 to 5. That's not promoting using the pool. It's so dumb. It's so like, I don't know. Like you look at this, it's like, obviously it's promoting, but I don't know. He's just like, you can't derive it is from an ought as if I don't know what that is.
When he hears promoting, he thinks, "Oh, you're saying it's good to do that." That's what he's thinking. Like, oh, to promote something.
We got his definition: to endorse, encourage, or advocate for its proliferation. It does, right? Yeah. Hey, you can use the pool between 9 to 5. Yeah. Encourages people to use the pool between 9 to 5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He did not understand his own definition. He in his head he thought, "Oh, this means this is morally good. You ought do this. You ought do that." And that's not what promote means. It just means to, say you can do this. That's it, pretty much.
That's just crazy. Crazy shit.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
thinking of like asking him about Deuteronomy 20, but I felt like he would have like said, "Oh, but those are like servants, not slaves," because it said like send the men into forced labor. So I don't know. He probably would have skirted around that too.
it felt like a Reese's Fast Break commercial. There was a bit of
Yo, the whole Reese's, yo, you guys are wild, yo. Well, what if the
And it's Reese's, not Reese's.
But
no,
why?
because if you say Reese's, then you can't say Reese's Pieces.
Oh my god.
So I call them the Reese's.
Crazy.
I love my Reese's Pieces.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah, local
But it
admin
was pretty
says the
good.
enablement is the promotion. Yeah, wow, amazing. Holy crap, you're putting 2 and 2 together. Wow. I feel, dude, you know what it reminds me of? You guys seen Idiocracy?
I haven't.
Yeah.
Hold on, Idiocracy Intelligence Test. This one here. This is the moment. It's so good.
Okay, sir. Now,
Hold on a sec. Let me you guys have my live up?
Yeah.
On Discord, because obviously I can't it'd be 10 seconds behind if you anyway.
we will begin to proceed to obtain your IQ and aptitude tests.
What for?
Okay, sir. This is to figure out what your aptitude's good at and get you a jail job while you're being a particular individual in jail.
If you have one bucket that holds 2 gallons and another bucket that holds 5 gallons, how many buckets do you have? 2? Thank you.
I just feel like I'm watching him do this with the block, like putting a square in the circle. I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, are these guys okay?
Oh, you almost lost it. You went and got the MAGA hat and everything. You were about to go full fucking fuck it, but you held back. That's great restraint.
Well, he wasn't trying to hold back. It's that the Andrew guy was just like sewing out, like he wouldn't shut up.
Yeah. Oh, he was mad. He was mad, bro. You got him. You really got him.
That was good. I liked this debate. You were pretty calm and collective this time, so I was like, yeah, that's what we need. We need the calm and collective amender.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not good at it. I get so amped up. I get so amped up so easily, so quickly, and I gotta remember to keep it cool because I tried my best not to interrupt the guy. There were a few times where I interrupted him, but I feel like,
You did a great job.
He was interrupting a lot.
Yeah, I guess you got to read the room. Like if he's panicking and trying to scramble and trying to find reasons to kind of weasel out. I saw in the beginning, like when you were asking him questions, he kind of weasel out and kept saying it was regulations and regulations. So he had that regulation. He wasn't going to change his mind. He was just saying it was regulations. And after that, we already knew. Yeah, that's it. That he's just going to have that in his mind. He's not going to be able to an open mind dialogue, but that's how it is sometimes when it comes to debating people that have a mindset like that are not open to other viewpoints.
I was really curious if he's in favor of the legalization of marijuana and like to like legalize and regulate marijuana.
That's not promoting it, Flashy.
Yeah,
legalizing it isn't promoting it. Even though we obviously know if we legalized it, a lot more people be smoking weed, bro.
Because like, because I wanted to know because like if he would have said no, which is pretty common among like conservative Christian types and stuff, like what would be his reasoning for that? Because like by his own logic, it would not be a promotion of it. There wouldn't be a massive spread in people smoking marijuana if you legalize and regulate it.
Gail Lee, you just caught us at the tail end saying love the new hairband. I thank you very much, Gail Lee. You guys like the new hairband?
Yeah, it's much better than the other one.
Yeah. Well, the other one was like, it has green, and so it messes with the green screen. It's not good. Anyway.
I'm not a fan of hairbands in general, but
what, bro? My hairband is awesome. Shut the fuck up. Fuck you.
Fuck
what
you.
if I did like an extra, you know? No.
I was going to ask, by the way, like, how do you have your hair at work? or do you just not go into the office that often?
I don't go in the office.
Oh, okay.
They also don't care if you have long hair. As long as you're doing your job. It's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Workademics doing top tier trolling, saying a woman is an adult female. Oh fuck! I'm ruined. He got us, chat. He got us. Man, I guess I gotta end stream.
You gotta delete your channel.
Delete the channel. That's it. That's the end. God damn, dude. Man, you did it. All the endocrinologists, they all like, it was like that, like when they destroyed the One Ring in the Lord of the Rings, right? Where like all the goblins just like fall to the ground, you know, after the ring dies. I'm like he just says, well, actually, a woman is an adult human female, and then all the endocrinologists and scientists just fall to the ground. Shit, we just got defeated. We never thought of that. Fuck, it's over.
No. Last part?
What?
Oh, man. No, well, you made a little squeaky sound. That didn't sound very... Yeah, there you go.
All right, everybody. I'm going to call it. Definitely going to make a video on this, so feel free to watch the whole thing again, because goddamn.
Again?
No, I loved it. Well, I cut out like the pauses in between, so it's way easier to watch and enjoy.
Oh.
You know, question. Is it better to just not have intros in the video?
What do you mean?
Because there's like a 5-minute intro, right? We're going through 2 PowerPoints, and basically it's requesting people do like basically watch through 10 minutes of shit that they don't want to watch. What they want to see is the back and forth. They want an immediate back and forth, no rebuttals, none of that, just the back and forth. And I'm thinking I'm going to try a back and forth and try that. Workademic says, I made you rage quit. Dude, you did it. Yep. That was all you. It was all you. It's not because I have to wake up early in the morning. Nope. It's because you said adult human female is what a woman is. I have no rebuttal. There's no, I can't argue against that. That's so correct. I do. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of your night.
All right.